Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have a great guest, Gil Sanchez. He was a former law enforcement officer, and he had a Goatman encounter. And boy, my sons are pissed they have to go to school tomorrow. They can stay up to this because they've always loved Goatman, and I've never been really big familiar with it. I know some of the urban legends and the stories, and I've heard the encounter, especially on Paranormal Roundtable, Josh Turner. Gil is a really awesome guy because you guys remember I filmed earlier this year in Seattle for a TV show I'll be on. And he reached out to me on the night I was having a lot of nerves about filming. Let me know he had filmed with them the day before, and they had a really good time. They were a great crew, and he was right. They were great. And he really helped me that night. I was really kind of having trouble sleeping. So when I asked him what his encounter was, he said, why was he on the show? He said, Goatman. Well, I have to have him on the show because I've never had a guest on the show about Goatman. And my sons have asked me this for 10 years. When are you going to have somebody on about Goatman? Well, I mean, we've talked about Goatman, but I've never had a guest that's had an actual experience on the show. So we're going to have him on. Of course, lots of weird to get to. Even a listener is known as Jim Rat to this show who calls in, sent us some UFO beam footage. We'll be showing here in a few minutes on the World Wide Web of Weird. So we got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, he's actually with us, and we didn't get to do a sound check, so I am going to bring him here in a minute. But let's check with our beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie? Cut her off guard.
Doing well, thank you.
It's like I cut you off guard because it froze on you. Like it's frozen. You're just starting to move now. As long as we can hear you. That's the other reason why I want to bring our guest tonight. I'm going to bring him in just to make sure we got a sound check going here. Did it add him to stages? Or is it my system running really slow? Uh-oh.
Mine is really, really slow.
There we go. You there, Gil?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Oh, you sound great. You scared me. He's like, I have to do it on my iPhone. Most of the time, it actually sounds really good on an iPhone. You would think it would. It sounds better than some computers. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
my
right,
laptop for some reason it didn't want to take the link for some reason.
Oh, I don't know why. Computers. Like the phone can do it all for you now, right? And then you get a computer, and you're like, oh, I could do so much more. No, I can't. Well, Gil, I'm glad you're here. Feel free to comment. We got a news segment. It's called the World Wide Web of Weird. You want to join in on any of this? Feel free. Interrupt me at any time. But we got some 7 articles we always got to do. Actually, one of them's not an article. It's from a listener, Jim Rat, James or Jim, want to call him. I don't know if he wants me to give his last name. He always has weird experiences when he's at the gym. I don't know if this was at the gym or not, but he had some UFO stuff. We got that tonight and a lot of other weird stories. So let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, we're going to start off with the ongoing story. Are we going back to the moon? You know, I think we will. We should. We should have done it long time ago. Why haven't we? I don't know. But not only do I've said I have my doubts about us making it back to the moon or going to Mars, especially in the next several years, because things are just a crap show at NASA, but they're planning February 2026, Artemis 2 manned lunar mission is set to launch. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio network on Talkstream Live's Paranormal Radio app, we are a webcast streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But if you want to listen, I will narrate as best as possible, which isn't great at all. But hey, just hang in there. All right. Image file. No Rob tonight. He's got a little bug. We want him to get his rest tonight. If you're listening, Rob, I hope you feel better. So I'm running the World Wide Web Weird, so you know that's going to be awful. All right, Artemis 2 manned lunar mission set to launch in February 2026. It's finally happening. More than 50 years after the last human set foot on the lunar surface, NASA's Artemis program is finally about to send astronauts back to the moon. While Artemis 2 won't actually land on the surface, the flight will see a crew of 4 astronauts spend over a week in space to test out all the technology. We together have a front row seat to history. This history's happened. It's called Apollo mission. Okay. Said NASA acting Deputy Associate Administrator Lakeisha Hawkins. The launch window could open up as early as the 5th of February, but we want to emphasize that safety is our top priority. It's not going to happen in February. I guarantee it. The astronauts going on the mission will be NASA's Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christian Koch, as well as Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian Space Agency. They will be the first humans to venture beyond near-Earth's orbit since 1972. Do you hear the disappointment in my voice? It's successful. Artemis 2 will pave the way for Artemis 3, the actual manned moon landing, which should take place sometime before the end of the decade. Like, we're not going to Mars, like Elon Musk keeps thinking, if we're not making it to the moon before the end of the decade to land on it. I mean, what the heck?
Right.
Right. Well, the argument's been that we never went.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that believe that. I do think we went. I'm pretty damn sure we went. I think we went and we saw aliens, and they're like, yeah, we can't keep going there. They told us not to. I don't know. Amy O., I saw your comment about Goatman, about your ex-boyfriend's little brother had a Goatman story out of Colorado near Indian Res. We'll get back to that. Interested in that. All right. Let's go ahead. Get to the next one. Oh, remove. I'm so bad at this. All right. All right. This is going to be a bunch of videos. I don't have a lot of times from this. And let me get the email. I was going to pull up the original email he sent me. What did he say? Kind of just started sending me these videos, and now it's not loading the original email. But James, known as Jim Rat, you remember him? He called in and had the weird encounter with the man in black and the homeless people. Remember that? Well, he's got
24 when Paulina and I originally spoke. February.
All right, so I got to mute this one here. He was listening to a podcast at this point, so I don't know if he was at the gym working out, listening to a podcast. But I don't know what this is that he's seeing up in the sky. I got about 4 videos. I think he gave me 5. I think I missed one. A couple of them got podcasts in the background, so I got to, mute it. I don't know if we're going to, where's the fast forward? This is, I think, his first video. He started recording it, and it might be hard for you guys to see. I didn't get a chance to enhance anything yet. Let me go to the other one. It's like it's blocking it, like it's... Hold on. Let me remove this one. Let me go to a different one. Video file. This is the first one. I don't know if I had it in order. Or did I just grab the same video? It's hard to see here, but it starts to I don't know what this is, to be honest. When you start to see it, it might be really hard for you to see it. And Rob, what's this do? Does this, oh, that just does that. Let me, I want to find the one. He has one of the videos. It's just, I'm like, okay, I really don't know what this is. Hold on. Let's go to the second one.
I guess understanding.
There we go. All right, here. This is, you can really start to see it. I don't know. It's like something in the air. moving alive. I wish I could zoom in on this. I wish I had had time. I was very busy this week. I apologize, Jim. I wanted to get a chance to like zoom in on these and edit it some more, and I literally had no time this weekend. Boy's birthday sleepover party drained me. I don't know what this is. Are you able to see it, Jamie?
The
wish I
little
could have
white,
got a zoom in on it.
the little white squiggle.
Yeah, see, it looks like a little white squiggle. That's why I wish I would have done the zoom in on it, because I zoomed in on it, but it didn't edit it, and it's so weird looking. I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can get a different one.
Where did he say he got it?
He didn't say, I don't think. I was trying to find the original email.
California?
San Francisco.
Okay, because we just started having all sorts. I can show you a big one wrapped around those Webster things. These strands and strands of white stuff started falling from the sky all up and down the state.
That's what he's recording.
Spider webs, and I think they fly from like Asia even, but some will have like spider pieces in it. I could show you like a big one right now.
Wow, anybody with arachnophobia, that's got to be their worst freaking nightmare. So you're saying
It's
what
like
James got here
Yeah.
is this weird flying insect. I think I've heard of this before.
Well, it's the
They use their
web.
web. It's the web, but it like picks them up in the air and it floats.
Yes,
Is it from Asia?
I believe so. I stopped reading when I was getting to that part.
What
Is
just
that almost like the same thing that happens up? And there's a small town in Australia that happens to. They get this whole area that just like overnight just is totally covered in spider webs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like I said, arachnophobia is where some of arachnophobia's worst nightmare there. Huh, that would make sense. And like I said, yeah, you said California. I think he said San Francisco in his email. Yeah, because I asked him where he got it. Let me see another one. Hold on.
Wait, well,
I don't want to take up too much time with this one, but go ahead. Oh, I think this is the other one I didn't.
Can you describe her and he said
Here it's almost, you can almost see it. It's like it looks like it's far up there.
Yeah, it's really far in the air.
Yeah, so it made me hard to think that it's just this. I mean, how big do these things get? I wonder. But it is weird. It moves like it's weird. It's not like a total like it's stringy at times the way it moves in the air. When I was watching, I wish I would have got this.
Right,
It's
look
hard
at
for people to
this.
see.
Can you see this with the green light?
Yeah.
This is a
Spider.
big clump of it. It went across from the house to the tree.
So
And
you
it's
got actual
sticky.
samples.
Yeah, it's sticky,
wow.
sticky.
Wow.
And this was going from the house to the tree. And my mom
Wow.
at first was like, "What is that?" And then I saw the article today about all the stuff falling, and we're like, "It's the exact strands. It's the exact stuff." This is just a really big piece of it.
That's crazy. I mean, the way it looks in the sky. I mean, I get why you filmed it. It was like sending me these videos. Like, what is this?
Yeah, it's like,
I think Jamie's got the answer here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go put
it's
this
weird.
back
I
out.
wish I could have zoomed in on it so people could really see the stringiness of it. Because when she said stringiness, I'm like, yeah, that's what you see when you zoom in on it. I wish I would have done that. But thank you, Jim. If you like Jim here is a fan of the show, you have anything like that, it's Paranormal Soup, the letter J, and my last name Bland. So Paranormal Soup, jbland@gmail.com. Email me there with your stories or photos, or just let me know if I can use it on the show. Stipulate that for me, or I'll be emailing you back asking if I can. But just always let me know. All right, let's move on. I'm going to run out of time. All right, next up. Number 3. What was number 3? Oh, so... Oh, all right, here we go. Number 3, right? We talked about the cattle mutilations in Utah. Well, now the ranchers have enlisted paranormal investigators to help figure out what's going on. A Utah rancher lost one of his bulls to a cattle mutilation earlier this summer and enlisted paranormal researchers and other experts to look at the curious case, and their collective findings were rather remarkable. Paul Martinez discovered the downed animal on his property back in July, And the incident made headlines in late August. Speaking to a local media outlet last week, the rancher revealed several intriguing details about the case that came to light throughout the summer when he allowed an array of intrigued individuals to examine the animals on the scene of the strange I am not able to talk. This is what happens when you've had like no sleep over the weekend. Strange slaying. The first such weird insight came to light around 10 weeks after the incident when livestock investigator Rob Wilcox used a metal detector on the down bull, which remained where it had been killed. Strangely, he noticed something about the creature's carcass or the land around it activated the device. Even stranger was that following his visit to the site, the metal detector stopped functioning. Meanwhile, paranormal investigators Ryan Burns, who was also brought in to study the situation, recounted how the land around the down bull was particularly peculiar in that it was like walking on memory foam, which only held tracks for about an hour before they just disappeared. Another interested party invited to the visit the ranch was Dustin Elkelson, who serves as the director of the Mutual UFO Network Utah branch. He extracted soil samples from the location of the mutilation as well as 25 feet away and sent them off to a lab for testing. While the results were fairly routine, a significant difference in sulfur levels stood out as being unusual to Elkelson. Similar tests by Utah's Department of Agriculture found contrasting calcium and iron levels between the target area and control area. Martinez's rigorous attempt at figuring out what happened to his bull extended even further as he has also turned to Johnny Alberto Gamamoachipi, I don't know how you say his last name, of the northern Ute tribe, who posited that something could have disturbed ancient spirits at the site. To that end, the pair pointed to a bizarre incident that occurred a few weeks before the cattle mutilation, in which an intoxicated man escaped from the police custody and wound up on Martinez's ranch, where he stole his ATV and led police on a wild chase. He might be possessed by some demons, Gamoachipi, I don't know how to say his name, used, suggesting that the sinister spirit then somehow turned their attentions to the unfortunate bull. Ultimately, the rancher's dodged pursuit left him with more questions than answers regarding the puzzling incident. That said, Martinez should be commended for the length he went in his quest to solve the case and his willingness to share the fruits of those efforts with the public, as only rarely hears of the aftermath of a cattle mutilation event once its initial headlines. And that's why I kind of wanted to cover this, because we'll talk about it, and then you don't ever hear whatever happens, because they usually just are going, we don't know. We don't know what killed it. Weird, and they have weird findings. So I don't know what cattle mutilations are. I've heard all the different theories. I don't know what to say. And for some reason, my chat thing does not want to keep scrolling down. I have to look down at it. Ugh. Technical problems. But,
when I was working at the sheriff's department in Colorado, I actually did a cattle mutilation.
Really?
Yeah.
See, hold that thought on that. Get to that. I would talk about that too. Yeah, it's something I've talked to Linda Moulton Howell through email. I tried to get her on the show, but my show's too late. But I totally, she did a lot of the groundwork on this back in the day. Mm-hmm. And it's just something that, is it the government? Is it aliens? Why would they have to do that? Is it people? Is it satanic cults? Is it pranks? Is it hoaxers? Is it all the above? I couldn't tell you.
What he saw.
Well, the one that really scares me is the lady we had on about Prion. Remember her about the Prion thing and the cattle mutilations? If that's the explanation, we all should be really scared. You'd rather it be aliens. All right, moving on. All right, this next one, we covered this a long time ago, I think, a couple of years ago about and this is kind of, I covered it because it's like a word of warning to would-be ghost hunters. Is this it, the right one? Yeah. I don't know the pickup, but teens, I did this. You get in a car and you have an urban legend about a place, and you're going to go there and you're going to go check it out. And sometimes people get tired of you doing that, and you get in some trouble. And you never know who you're going to run into. Well, these teens, remember we covered the story, got shot at. A bullet went through the car. Remember this one? Well, 2 years later, lawyers and courts, the guy who shot at him at Devil's Lagoon in Texas, $2.8 million is what he owes. Now these guys aren't teens anymore. They're grown adults. $2.8 million. It says, a trigger-happy Texan man had been ordered to pay a whopping $2.8 million to a group of would-be ghost hunters whom he shot in a bizarre incident nearly 5 years ago. We've been around 10. I remember this story. According to local media reports, a strange encounter at the center of the case occurred on the evening of December 27, 2020, when a group of 7 then teenagers in the city of Raymondville, went out to look for an apocryphal haunted location known as the Devil's Lagoon. I mean, as a teenager and you called it Devil's Lagoon and had Urban Legend, I'm there. I would have been there too. As a crowd of thrill-seeking youngsters drove down the remote road hoping to spot a spirit, they stumbled upon a far more nightmare scenario when they saw a parked car with a man waving them down. Upon pulling up to the vehicle, the teens were stunned when the driver, William Dane Rhodes, suddenly began shooting at them. He shot right over my truck, recalled victim Arturo Joseph Sayas. And when I heard it shoot, I just stepped on it and took off. While only the bumper of his vehicle was hit during the gunfire, a second shot whizzed through the back seat, miraculously missing 2 youngsters sitting there. Looking at the back of the fateful night, the 7 ghost hunters remained rattled by the run-in with Rhodes. It was probably the most terrified I'd ever been in my life, victim Slade Gutierrez mused. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of terror, that kind of emotion in general. It was so intense. I always tell my kids, you don't need to be afraid of ghosts or any of these things. You need to be afraid of people. And they don't even tell you here. I never found out why this guy did this. I've never got that side of the story. There's no excuse. And,
We have it here all the time now on the California 580, 680. Constantly people just shooting at people's cars.
Yep. And then here my dad right now was at my son's birthday party, and I feel bad. I apologize, Dad. He is totally against having guns, and we disagree. But I get his sentiment because of stupid crap like this. Because people are stupid. But the problem is, it's a utopia idea that we can just get rid of guns because they're all over the place. Hell, you can see 3D print them now. That's the problem. But yes, one thing I agree with my dad is that too many stupid people have guns. That's the problem.
And people always find a way. And criminals don't usually tend to follow the rules.
No, generally they don't. But I get the sentiment why people think we should get rid of guns when you have idiots like this. Could have killed a couple teenagers.
They had another person that shot up a church in Michigan today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we had that too. What my mom added to this is what I agree with her 100%. We have a lot of mental illness in this country. A lot of problems and a lot of dehumanizing of people and a lot of issues. And it just seems that to me, you can take away the guns, people go around and stab people or build bombs or do anything crazy. Let's stop the crazy. Let's stop what people need help or friends or I don't know. God.
Like the one guy had a rap sheet of 14 incidents or something. People knew that he was someone to be watched.
Yeah. It's the thing. We are drugs are we got drugs are bad, and you got mental illness. You got all these other things, and deadly weapons.
Situation.
When we're gonna start having 3D, or we're gonna start having robots too, and is somebody gonna reprogram the robot to go kill somebody? That's a Black Mirror episode for you. All right, let me get rid of that. Let's on to number 5. This one even makes me more happy. No, it does not. Sarcasm. Because Jamie sent me this one, I had to talk. New digital ID scheme to be rolled out across the UK. New digital ID scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right-to-work checks by the end of the Parliament. A new digital ID scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right-to-work checks by the end of the Parliament. The scheme will be available to all UK citizens and legal residents, saving them time by ending the need for complicated identity checks, which often rely on copies of paper and records. Instead, the rollout will in time make it simpler to apply for services like driving licenses, childcare, and welfare. Yeah, you want your government cheese? While streamlining access to tax records. The new digital ID will be held on people's phones. Just millions already uses the NHSA app or contactless payment or mobile payments. It'll all be tied to your payment system. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I've been talking about. Yeah, well, that's coming too. They don't want to put that part in yet. But this is what I've been talking about. No, but this is what I've been talking about. It doesn't matter who you vote for. You have technocrat billionaires that have this utopian society in mind where everything's watched. Nothing will be happen because everything you do will be watched and controlled. If you talk back, you can shut down your bank account. We can social credit score you.
Mileage tax and
it's all attached to your digital ID. Peter Thiel, go look him up, Palantir. I'm just saying, this is the crap. All of us 15, 20, 30 years ago were told conspiracy theorists, and here we are. This is what they're pushing for. This is
If
what
you're
they're
not a
pushing
good
for.
boy, then they say, you know what, you can have all your funds this month, and they cut off how much money you can spend.
Here's Minister Keir Starmer. I know working people are worried about the level of illegal immigration to this country, a secure border and controlled migration and reasonable demands, and this government is listening and delivering. Problem, reaction, solution. They created the immigration problem, the migrant problem. Sound familiar here too? And, we give you you react because this is ridiculous bullcrap that you're living in, and we give you the solution we wanted all the time.
But the thing is, they started this study in 2014 in Switzerland at a company where they had volunteers put the chip.
We're already out of time. We're already almost out of time, so we got to stop talking about this. See what happens? Get me worked up. That was only number 5. Damn, we didn't even get to number. What is number 6? Robot. We know they're coming. This is the new robot. It looks like a human. Here, I'll just play a quick second of that. Look. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. And they're going to, take your jabs. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I thought this was, pretty realistic looking. There's another one with a female one I saw at a convention recently. It looked pretty realistic. Does it do the zoom in? And when it zooms in on this guy, too, it reminds me of the eyes from Westworld. You remember Westworld, where the eyes would shine? Look, right there. You see that? That's totally like something out of Westworld, like the original Westworld. All right. We got one more thing really quick, because I know we're going to run out of time. We're already out of time, but I didn't want to cover anything to do with Charlie Kirk or anything like that, because we don't do politics. I don't care about politics, and this is not about politics, but I want to play this because what was I talking about last week?
Reason number 77, we're living in a simulation.
Have you seen this, the Snake Eyes saying? I said we live in a God talks to us through synchronicities. Charlie Kirk, when this movie, Snake Eyes, came out, I'm sure you guys have heard about the conspiracy that this correlates to the assassination.
What if I told you the whole Charlie Kirk tragedy already happened exactly 27 years ago? This is gonna f*** your mind. So there's a movie from 1998 called Snake Eyes, starring Nicolas Cage, in which a political figure named Charles Kirkland, that's his actual name in the movie, gets by a sniper in the neck in the exact same spot as Charlie Kirk at a public event. Now, in the opening scene of the movie, there's a sign for this event that shows us it also took place on September 10th.
Not correct. That's not correct. I've actually seen this movie. It's September 19th, but it blurs it out. It makes it look like September 10th. But it's still weird.
Same day, it happened during a boxing event headlined by a boxer named Tyler the Executioner. Tyler Robinson is being accused of committing the execution in real life. During the scene, Cage is heard asking about his lucky number, while we see someone holding up a giant 7. Recently, Elon Musk announced that every spacecraft launched in 2026 will bear the number 77 as a tribute to Charlie Kirk. Why
I think that one's a stretch.
77? I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me. If it wasn't obvious enough, there's also this massive all-seeing eye on a blimp or something watching the entire sequence of events go down. That's because the movie is called Snake Eyes, and 2025 also happens to be the year of the snake. Promotional posters for the film feature the tagline, "Believe everything except your eyes." Oh, and was also filmed in the Trump Hotel in Atlantic City.
Funnier note, though, is my wife works for a lady. She goes, have you seen that whole Snake Eyes thing? This is how my wife found out about it. She goes, I was an extra on that movie, and we filmed that at the trial. We're way over time. I'm so sorry, Gil. We'll be getting there. I just wanted to cover this because I was talking about, I believe, like, Charlie Kirk was like, 7 or 8 when this movie came out? So don't tell me they pre-planned all this stuff. No, I believe, like, the wreck of the Titan, 18 years before the Titanic. The odd similarities between JFK and Abraham Lincoln. I think God, the force, whatever, communicates through synchronicities in weird ways, through people's creativity. It's just my thought on it. And the other weird thing is about that whole Tyler the Executioner. He's the boxer in the movie. I've seen this movie. He's the boxer in the movie who takes a fall, and he knowingly, so he doesn't know that it's going to be a killer, but he's part of the plot. He takes a fall so the sniper can take a shot, and nobody notices. Or, sees the sniper so he can get away or something like that. If I remember right, it's been a long time since I've seen it. It's up on Prime if you want to go see for yourself. But that's it for the World Wide Web. We went way over. I apologize, Gil. We got a lot to get to. let's go ahead and we're going to roll to our commercial break. We'll be back with Gil Sanchez. We're going to talk about his Goatman encounter in Colorado. Just hang in there. It'll be a short break.
Occult world of necromancy.
You were brought here for one purpose, necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please,
and death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing, in color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by
5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Gil Sanchez. Gil is originally from Colorado, a former road deputy for 14 and a half years in Southeastern Colorado. During his law enforcement career in Colorado, he patrolled a county area that was 4,700 square miles. This particular county is bigger than some states. He was also a sheriff's department firearms instructor, self-defense arrest control instructor, arson investigator, and a member of the ERT tactical team. Is now currently employed as an armed security officer in South Carolina. Like I said, I met Gil through the internet, the beautiful, the good and bad of the internet, but sometimes you meet some great people. I met Gil. He reached out to me when I was filming this thing in Seattle. I was really nervous about filming. I am not a big fan. I sit here and talk to you guys. I am not a big fan of doing interviews or being filmed in that kind of way. It's just not my cup of tea. And I was getting really nervous about it, and he reached out to me and let me know. I didn't know him at all, and he made me feel really much better about it. So I'm really happy to have him on. I think this guy's going to be a great guest tonight, and I've always wanted a guest on to talk about Goatman since my kids have been fascinated by Goatman all these years and asked me to have a guest on. So this is the first. Just about Goatman, but I think he's got a lot of other experiences as a law enforcement officer. We probably get into much more. And we will open the phone lines up later in the show, but let's go ahead and get to our guest. Thank you for coming on the show, Gil. It's an honor to have you on.
Bill, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I thought I had somebody else in the panel. I realized it was my World Wide Web of Weird still here. There we go. Why is it doing that? There we go. No, why is it doing that? Hold on a second. What do I got to do? Hit that? All right, there we go. So we can see all of us. All right, Gil, thank you for being on. We talked a little bit. I don't know much about your encounter. I was filming my thing from that. I was told, when they presented to me, it was a cryptid show. Your story sounds like the kind of thing they were looking for. They had me on to talk about a shadow person experience. Don't know when that's going to come out. It's going to be on the History Channel. And, I think me and Gil are both kind of waiting to hear when that'll be. We'll let people know.
I heard it was going to be coming up sometime in January.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard too. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was a fun trip for me, and it got me to meet you. And when you told me your encounter was a Goatman encounter, I'm like, well, I have to have you on the show now. I've literally got a 14-year-old now, soon to be 14, and a 9-year-old have been begging me to have a guest on this subject. And I'm my familiarity with it is I know there's the famous Goatman Bridge in Texas. Mm-hmm. I know they have sightings like in Maryland and all over. And there's seems to be a lot of different places that have urban legends about the Goatman. So it'll be interesting to hear your take on this tonight and what your experience. I don't know where you want to begin or give back more about your personal background before we start.
I could get right into it if that's what you'd like for me to do.
Sure.
Yeah. See, this encounter actually took place back in 2006, October of 2006. Just to give you a little bit of a kind of sense of what I was doing at that time. I was actually working the swing shift back then, and our county, the county I was patrolling that night, basically half of the county is like wilderness area, and the other half is like a prairie area.
Yeah.
And the area that was part of my patrol route was out east of the town, out in the county. And there's a small farming area in that area. It's just a real small community. They have a school out there that's K through 12. It's a real small area. It's a farming area. Anyway, I want to say it was probably right around, probably about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And I was going out there to go do my rounds in the area and check the school out, make sure everything was locked up, and just go around just the area, just to make sure everything, make ourselves known. Letting them know that, there is law enforcement in the area. I went around the small area of the small town, went around the school, got out, checked all the doors, made sure everything was secure, got back in my unit, went around the area again, and I was heading back into town to go to the west end of the county I was going to get ready to go patrol that portion.
Yeah.
On the way back on this county road, which is probably one of the main routes to go in and out of that community, I was headed back into town, and I was probably traveling in my unit doing probably about 50 miles, between 45, 50 miles an hour. And there's a sharp turn that goes to the right on this road as it crosses some railroad tracks. Right before that, there's this metal lattice bridge that you cross. I'm getting ready to make that turn, and I want to say probably to on my driver's side to my left, I see something out of my peripheral vision running at a high rate of speed. I mean, this thing was moving.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have time to take a look to see what it was. All of a sudden, it's in front of my unit. And I mean, I center punched that thing. I mean, I hit this thing head on.
Oh man.
And I could feel when I hit it, I hit this thing so hard that it lifted my unit up on two wheels and sat back down. And I could feel
you're going 40 or 50 miles an hour too?
40, 50 miles an hour. And and I hit this thing. It was like hitting a big boulder, rolling over a boulder, because I could feel the front tires and the back tires go over it, and I could hear it scrape on the undercarriage of the vehicle. My unit sits back down, and I mean, I lock up the brakes. I lock them up, and I laid some skid down for like about 25, 30 feet. And, I'm sitting there, and my first thought was, you just destroyed the whole front end of your unit. Okay. And that was
at that moment. Did you think you thought you hit a deer or something like that, or?
At that point, I was in a state of shock.
Yeah.
I want to say, because, well, I'll get to that, because I got a pretty good look at exactly what it was I hit.
That's what I was just wondering, because you said it was running up and then it was right in front of you, and then your instinct was to punch it. So was it just totally crazy looking and you went into shock?
We'll let him tell.
I'll get to the description here.
Yeah.
But anyway, after I hit it, and I'm figuring that my first thought was, okay, you just crashed off your unit. The front end of your car is probably totaled. Well, it wasn't a car. It was a Dodge Durango. We were patrolling in Dodge Durangos then. So I get out and I go to the front of my unit to check and see what the damage is. Okay. There's no damage. There is absolutely no damage to the vehicle. Now you stop and think, okay, again, I was doing like 45, 50 miles an hour.
And you felt it.
And I felt it. I mean, I hit it. I felt when I hit it, and I was like, I knew there's damage on this unit. There was nothing wrong with the unit. So I'm thinking, okay, I know exactly what I hit. Now I'm going to go back, and in my mind, not knowing exactly what I'm thinking at that time, it's probably a dumb idea at the time. I walk back up the roadway from where I made, where I felt was the impact point where I hit it, figuring, okay, if this thing isn't dead, it should be severely injured. Okay, so I'm start walking up the side of the road, and I'm not seeing anything, but I hear something moving around in the brush on the other side of the barbed wire fence where I had initially made the impact of what I hit. I could hear things rustling in the weeds, and I could hear something coming at me. So I pull my flashlight and I start shining my flashlight in the area where it's coming at me. I could hear it, but I don't see anything.
Yeah.
And I could hear it getting closer. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to my unit. So I pull my weapon, and I'll tell you why here in a second. I pull my weapon and I make my way back to my unit. get in my unit. Well, before I get in my unit, I go around to the front of my vehicle to make sure, okay, is everything okay? There is no
You can
damage.
still drive.
It's still drivable. Get in my unit, go back to my office, and I stay there the rest of my night. I didn't even patrol the rest of that night. I just stood there. Didn't do anything. I did some paperwork and called it good. Ended the shift and went home. Okay, now, before I made impact with this thing, I got a good look at what this was. Right before, because it literally stood right in the middle of the road and looked me right in the eye. It turned its head and sneered at me right before I hit it.
Like sneered, you said?
It sneered at me right before I hit it. And this thing was approximately 3.5 to 4 feet tall, had horns, upper body was a human, and the bottom half from the waist down is the best way I could describe it, was a goat.
Yeah.
And it had hooves. It had this little lower half. It was like dark brown and black and fur.
Yeah.
When it looked at me, this thing had the reddest eyes I've ever seen. I mean, they were like blood red, and it looked right at me.
Yeah.
Right before I made impact. And the craziest thing is, as hard as I hit it, it should have something that, compared to Dodge Durango, it should have been injured or dead.
Yeah. And the front end of your car should have been damaged in some way.
Can I ask, did you have a push bar on the front?
Yeah, I had a brush guard. There was a brush guard on the front of that unit. And there was nothing wrong with the unit. It's like when I made impact, it vanished. But I could feel it. It vanished as I started to go over it, because I could feel the front tire and the back tire drive over it. My unit was literally on two wheels, and then it sat back down. So I made impact. The thing, it just vanished. I mean, it just like vaporized. It was gone. So after seeing that, and I told you I went back to go see, what I had hit, seeing if being that it was what I thought was an animal, basically an animal-ish.
Yeah.
And it was nowhere to be found, but there was something running around in those weeds out there. It was coming at me, but I couldn't see it. Because I could hear the footsteps coming at me, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So that's when I made my way back to my unit, got in my unit, and I went back to the office, finished out my shift, got off shift, and I called one of my friends who was working for the police department, and he's real big into the paranormal. And I told him what was going on. I told him what had happened.
Yeah.
And he came over the following morning. I was on call that night, so I had to take the unit home. He came over to my apartment. He crawled underneath the unit, and he told me, he says, there isn't anything wrong. He said, there isn't even any dirt or dust scraped off of your undercarriage. He said, you didn't hit anything. And I told him, I said, I know what I hit. I said, that thing looked right at me. He said, I'm telling you, I said, there's no damage. There's no indication that you even hit anything. And, I was like, okay, let's go back out to where this happened. So we went back out there, found the skid marks, and him and I, we both walked up and down that road for about 200 yards on both sides. There wasn't a thing in sight. Nothing. There was no blood, no fur, no indication of anything being struck out there. All that was there were the skid marks. So I went back, I went back on duty the following day, about it was a couple of days.
Did you only tell that friend?
Yeah, at that time I did. I mean,
Understandably.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, dude, there's something wrong with you. I didn't want people
Yeah,
to think
I've been on a
anything.
police department, and yeah, it's not something you want to go and just tell anybody on the police
Right.
department because they'll never let you live it down.
Right, right. And, you know, my undersheriff, the undersheriff and I, we're real good friends. He's actually the sheriff right now, back in my old department. He said, you know what, you haven't been acting right. He says, what's up? You know, what's going on with you? And I told him, I said, well, let's go to the sheriff's office and I'll tell you. So we went into the sheriff's office and I told him, explained everything what had happened.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I'm waiting, okay, here it comes. You're a goofball, you're going on leave. You need a psych eval. The sheriff listens to everything I'm telling him. And he just leans back in his chair and he tells me, he says, you know what? He says, when I worked for the mine, because our town, I'll explain it real quick. Our town was a real big mining town. And he tells me, he says, you know, back when I was working in the mine, we used to get miners that would drive up and down the highway coming and going to the mine. And there was a few of them that said they saw what looked like a goat man running around in the wilderness. And that was back in like the mid 70s that this was happening.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So there's been, and I vaguely remember as a kid hearing, stories about the goat man, but to actually encounter one and actually run it over.
And for there to be nothing left, no evidence, nothing physical, just you're feeling the car shift like it did, and you hit something, and then no damage, nothing there.
Nothing.
We get into this topic about it's easy for people to think like Bigfoot is a real creature out in the woods hiding, and he's like on my shirt says the hide and seek champion.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get people that are like, well, no, there's a paranormal aspects to the Bigfoot, and then you get into Dogman, and definitely start thinking there's paranormal aspects that these things aren't physically really here, but people are seeing them, or walk-ins, or things like that. And then once you get down into the Goatman, you really start thinking that's the case. Because what's going to be like that running around? Now, that road you were on, is that the same road these miners would be on?
No, this was actually on the opposite end of the county.
Okay.
For this took place where my incident took place was east of the county. The mines are out west. They're more up into the end of the hill and mountain area.
Before this, had you had any other? I always ask this of anybody if I'm investigating a paranormal. Usually, it's a haunted house situation, but have you had any other paranormal experiences before this?
Up until I really started getting into the paranormal stuff, because I really got into it after that happened.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
didn't really, pay attention to what happened to me, and I started remembering a lot of the stuff that I experienced as a kid, as a teenager, that now were like, hey, that was paranormal. I didn't know it then, but I know it now.
Well, that's what I kind of want to know. I always do this. Like I said, when I interview, a lot of people want to, when they tell me about their haunted house, they want to, tell me about the stuff that's happening right now, of course. And they always were like, oh, well, yeah, I had this other stuff. I'm like, I want to hear that because you had an experience. And I think all experience in life are for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what those reasons are. I don't know, and I won't be able to tell you tonight or anybody else I ever interview, but I always look for the dots and the connections and stuff, and I always look for people who, like you said, you had these experiences, but you didn't realize it until you kind of were awakened by this. So what were a couple, briefly some of the experiences you had that woke you up to?
I think I've told this to one other person on the show. When I was a child, I want to say probably around the age of 3 or 4. I used to go. My mom, and myself, they would go over to my grandparents' house, and they would, put me down for a nap. And this is wild. They put me down for a nap, and every time I would go into that room and I'd go down, they laid me down for that nap. I would always get visited by this guy that would slide this panel back on the ceiling, grab my hand, and take me on trips. And then he'd bring me back.
So it's like you'd see a panel like on the wall.
No, it was in the ceiling. It was in the
ceiling. And he'd like reach. You'd see a hand and an arm.
All I would see was just like this panel that would slide back. He'd put his hand out to me. I'd grab it, and he'd take me. And it was always like a flying sensation. And he would take me to different places, bring me back, and put me to bed.
See, my similarity to that is, I did this whole Seattle thing with the shadow person. Is when it had attacked me at night, I always swear it was ripping me out of my body, my astral body, whatever, and taking me and showing me things. Mine was a very bad experience as a teenager. Yours was a childhood experience, but that's weird. That is something like that. What would it show you? Do you remember anything at all? Or?
It was what I remember. It was always different places, always land, always in a different land area, always like a different area. I don't know if it was a different country, different part of the state, but it was always a land area, just open land. But I could always remember that sensation of like flying with him like through the sky and then coming back. And I even asked my mom before she passed away. I asked her, I said, do you remember me ever disappearing when I was a kid? And she was like, no. And she asked me why, and I told her, and she's like, why didn't you ever tell me this before? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I didn't want you to think I was some kid that was cracking up.
Yeah. How old were you when you were having those experiences?
Like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
But
that's usually the age when these kids are, it's a lot of times having a lot of these experiences. It's like that window of time where you're just old enough to remember and communicate it, but it's also that window's closing very quickly for that age, because once they hit 5 or 6, a lot of time, most of the time, not always, these experiences kind of fade away and go away.
Yeah, and I actually remember what this guy looked like. I still do. He was a tall, slender guy. He had this goatee, had slick back black hair. He was dressed in all black, and he had a black turtleneck on. He was dressed in completely black.
You ever thought about getting any kind of regression on that? Not that I'm a big advocate of it, but I'd be interested to see like what more you might not remember of that.
Part of me wants to, and then part of me doesn't.
I feel I have that same feeling about my own experiences with it. It's like, do you want, do you trust it? Is it just your imagination? I've had hypnotherapists, people that do this stuff on. I'm not trying to knock what they do. It's just my thoughts on it. Like I want to remember it because I remember it, not because I'm being guided and I'm just thinking of the first thing that comes to my mind. I know that's really simplistic way of looking at it and not the right way, but I don't know. That's like how I kind of feel about it too, with some of my experiences that, I've been asked, you should get some, do the regression and try to figure it out. I don't know. But I've told that to other people I've suggested and they've done it. And, I had one guy recently Blake Sinclair, come on the show. He's like, I'm glad you told me to do the regression. He had all this stuff. You got the 1947 Roswell thing. His dad had worked at Roswell and saw aliens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
May I ask?
Yeah.
Did he have hands, or were there gloves?
Nope, he was barehanded. He had black pants on. He was dressed completely in black. Completely in black. Black hair, black mustache and goatee.
And black goatee, you're saying? Like,
yeah.
Or like...
Yeah, like mustache, goatee. And I want to say he was probably mid-30s, early 40s. Never attempted to harm me at all. It was. You
didn't seem like you were frightened by it, obviously.
No. Yeah, I wasn't afraid of him at all.
That totally says something to me. If you're not, 3 or 4 could be weird. Who knows what goes on a 3 or 4 year old's brain at that time. But Like an intuitive knowing that you knew you were all right with whatever this being was.
Right. I mean,
You
it
know?
was I had no fear of him. For
Yeah.
some reason, I did not I wasn't afraid of him.
Have you ever seen UFOs or seen a UFO?
I've seen I've seen a couple of unexplainable lights while I was working on the sheriff's department.
See, well, this is why I ask these things, because I call the show Paranormal Soup because I feel all these things are connected in some way. You know, like there's some universal theory of the paranormal that could connect all these things in some sense, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe not. But, you know, that's why I ask, because, I mean, I've never had a cryptid experience like you, you know, like that. I've had the UFO and ghost and demonic, or whatever you want to call it, experiences. But I feel like they're all tied, especially when you know, this Goatman experience, you see it, you see this unusual creature, half person, whatever it is, with red eyes. You feel the impact, and there's no physical evidence. This tells me that you felt it. So it's partly physically here in our reality in some sense, at some moment. It's not just your mind seeing it.
Right. Right. And the
But
best
at the
way
same time, it can disappear.
Right. And to get a better visual of what this thing looked like, I don't know if you ever seen the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, well, that's, yeah, of course.
Remember Mr. Was it Timnus?
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe what this thing looked like. But like,
Did it have like a human face?
yeah, it had a human face. It had its whole upper body was human.
Except for the horns. It had horns though in its head?
Yeah, like two little horns that were shooting out the front.
Horns.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so I mean, if you talk about, you know, Chronicles of Narnia, who is it? That wrote that? T.S. Eliot? No. I'm trying to remember who wrote Chronicles of Narnia.
Lewis.
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Lewis.
C.S. Lewis. You know, he was very into Christian mythology and all this stuff, but Goatman, like, you know, or that character, you know, you're getting into the ideas like the of folklore of like Pan and the wild man and stuff like that. And here you are with this thing. You see, it's out. Where is it? Out in the the country, the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. That people have seen. I think things like what you saw for hundreds, thousands of years. Why there's been Goatman. If you look at paintings and art and stuff and religion and mythology, a description of a half man, half goat kind of thing has been around for a long, long time. Why?
Yeah.
Because I think people have had an encounter like you did.
Right.
Now, did you find out any other like history of that, anything with that road or that area?
There's a lot of history with that area. And this is just from my experience. Being out there, I had been called on several calls out there of trespassing, going out there and looking in the area and finding makeshift altars, pentagrams. There was definitely some black magic that was going on out there.
See, this is why I ask these questions. Yeah. I also have a theory on some of these things too. Is like, can occult practitioners that are doing these kind of rituals, are they calling forth these kind of things? My Christian friends would say yes. That this is something demonic you saw. Do you feel like it was evil? Like, did you feel evil, like demonic, or something like that?
This was definitely evil. I mean, this thing had ill intent, guaranteed. I mean, the snare that it gave me right before I made impact told me everything I needed to know, and me like a goofball after hitting it, get out of my unit and go looking for it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I knew you were scared. For a law enforcement officer to decide to draw their weapon.
Yeah,
right?
That thought's going through your head. Like, okay, you just hit this thing with a Dodge Durango. You have a 9mm. This isn't going to help.
No, I don't think any gun would help with something like that. Honestly,
No.
If it wanted to do it, I mean, if it can get hit by your car and still out in the field ready to mess with you, I don't think a 9mm bullet's going to do much, or even the whole mag. But at that time, I would have done the same, pulled my weapon, and then got in my car and left. That's survival instincts, people. You do that.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, like, how did this affect you after this incident? Like, what did this do to you?
It opened up. You want to talk about busting somebody's paradigm? I mean, I was just shot. I was like, what is real reality? What exactly is on the other side? What exists out there that we don't know about? And the more research I started to do, and the deeper I started to look into it, and they talk about the thinning of the veil. And sometimes things for people like me, sometimes when you're looking, things will look back.
When you're driving, they say you're in a hypnotic state. It could have been,
I have a story about that one too, but we can
Go
get
ahead.
into that later.
We can get into later, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, in a sense, your perceptions could have been somewhat open to it, maybe because of that.
Mhm. Right.
But again, you physically felt this thing. That's where it's like where it gets weird. It's like my mom and dad were over for my son's birthday, and she goes, "Your dad's heard you talk about your Bigfoot," because my dad's like, I believe a lot of this paranormal stuff. He's a very science kind of guy. He's like, I believe a lot of the paranormal stuff you're talking about, like psychokinesis, telepathy, and ghost even, and aliens too. But the one thing I can't buy is Bigfoot. And I pick on him because and I was like, because I've never seen a Bigfoot either, but I believe because I've had so many people on this show and people that have had these encounters. And he's like, well, the mind can play tricks on you. Well, why would the mind be out there playing tricks on you? In the middle of the road, make you feel something like that.
Right.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you hit a deer, and you thought for a moment it was Goatman, fine, but then you'd find a dead deer and the story over.
Right.
There's something more going on here. I don't think it's just the mind playing tricks on you. I just don't buy that. And same with that goes for everybody's Bigfoot encounters. There's too much stuff going on. Details, smells, feelings, telepathy sometimes, You didn't feel like you got any telepathic messages from this? Because that's a big one for Dogman. I've had people on.
No, there was definitely no telepathy. It was impact.
It told you everything in the sneer.
Yeah, everything. I mean, the eyes is what I'll never forget what those eyes look like. I mean, you're looking at just solid blood red eyes, and these things are staring at you and it's sneering, almost like saying, "Okay, I know you can see me. You're about to run over me, and then I'm going to disappear." But it messes with you when you feel a physical impact,
right?
And then there's nothing there; it's gone.
If you had just kept driving and didn't feel anything, just saw that and like ran through, I think you would have been like, "Man, I need to take a break," or
right.
"Man, I've been out doing this job too long." But I think that whole physical encounter, that's enough to shake anybody to their bones. You felt it, and there was something there. So you found like occult practices around someone in that area. You would be called out to trespassing. What would that look like? What kind of things would you be seeing? Because we had some of this in Michigan City. In the
When I
area.
went, what I saw is basically like a makeshift altar, if you will. I don't know if they're using it for some kind of animal sacrifice or what it was, but I found this. I found different satanic symbols because I looked up what these symbols look like, and I found them. I don't know what they meant, but I know I matched them to them being attached to witchcraft. Found those out there. Found black candles. And there was stones in the circle. Just a lot of the stuff. It was just screaming witchcraft.
I see. It makes me wonder if you found that more than a number of times. Like, did you have, was there some kind of occult practice happening in that area that unleashed this or called it forth? That's what makes you wonder. Does it have that power? Could you?
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
Just from my own experience. Say other people did witness the same thing. Having a kind of pagan background myself, I know that the black candles are, even though they look, dark, they're used for cleansing and clarifying. And the stones each have a different purpose. A lot of times people will use them to ward away negative or evil. Usually they'll be like darker stones or quartz, things like that. You'll see salt lines, things of that nature. So there definitely could have been magic going on, but it might not have been dark magic. It could have been protection magic. Just something to think about.
Well, I would think somebody doing dark magic, they got to put up some protection.
There was definitely pentagrams. I know that. I found a lot of pentagrams.
Well, that would be in pagan.
Pinnacles, there's pinnacles. If it's like upside down, it's usually demonic. If it's a regular star, that's just earth, air, fire, water.
Right.
Spirit.
Was it upside down? Would be the question.
It was upside down.
Okay.
Were there any remnants like of sacrifice or anything like that? Like animal sacrifice?
Found some blood. We found some blood, but we could never determine if it held.
Right.
It was definitely animal blood. We just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And you just had that vibe that it was bad.
Yeah. Well, I've run across that same kind of scene with an upside down pentagram and stone circle and blood kind of thing here. Yeah, we had out in the forest, a place called Posey's Chapel, and you don't go there if you're a Michigan City resident or in that area. Please don't go there because the people that live around there are tired of people going to that cemetery. But people that have weird stuff that happened there, and I swear I had friends that said there was like a certain part you could walk through, you'd feel like you walked into another dimension. But there were people doing occult practices out there. I saw the evidence of it. And then there's stuff, there's Devil's Bridge. They were definitely killing dogs there and hanging them. And I was told by somebody who worked with the sheriff at that time, he was into the occult. I mean, he had a leather-bound or a skin-bound Necronomicon. That him and the sheriff were familiar with what was going on down there, and it was a bunch of kids doing satanic practices, but they were doing it because it's like that commercial. Remember the commercial with the kid smoking pot and the dad walks in, he's like, where did you learn this from? And I learned it from you. That these kids were doing it because their parents were in an actual serious occult.
Oh, that's horrible.
And I've heard of this secret satanic kind of cult in this area, the Beverly Shores area and stuff like that. I don't know. But, the satanic panic, the 80s and that, and they say none of that's real, none of that, there's no secret satanic cults or people doing this. I don't know about that. I've seen evidence with my own eyes that there's some people doing it.
Oh, there was that. I know there was.
It just makes you wonder, did they unleash something, or is it just not, or it's just they're drawing on the same thing, the same power or whatever or energy that's there. They feel it too and are drawn to it. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The thing about it is a lot of these people that get into these practices don't know exactly what they're doing, and they're opening themselves up to things that they have no experience with, and they're messing up with portals that they don't know how to close, and some of these things stay open, and we don't know what's coming in.
Yeah.
Or they don't think to close them.
Right.
Well, I think that's a lot to do with if you start getting into occult ritualistic practices, if you haven't really, really taken the time to prepare yourself, cleanse yourself, really, really give yourself, because it's a religion, your focus and faith to it, and you're just willy-nilly messing with it, you're going to have a bad time. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
A real bad time. It's like the kids picking up the weed. My son's had his sleepover, and he's like, he knew the answer. He wanted to mess with us. He said, hey, do you mind if we do the Ouija board? I'm like, what is wrong with you, boy? What household have you grown up in? He knows we have 5 Ouija boards down here, but I collect them, don't use them, It's like tarot decks. I collect them. Well, I did use tarot, but you know, oh shoot, wow, my mic almost fell out. That's a new one. Wow. You know, but he knows. Like I've taught them, don't go messing with that stuff. Do not do it. You're gonna have a bad time, as they would say in South Park. Don't do it. You know, but sometimes these people are doing it, and maybe they're not seeing what they're releasing. I don't know. I also wonder how much of this, you know, people I've talked about with Dogman and Goatman and all these things is, you know, is this a demonic manifestation? Is this what the demons look like? You know, like, is this their physical manifestation in our reality? And we've given them some kind of gateway here. And you broke its reality or something when you hit it or whatever. You know?
You know, I've thought about that quite a bit about that area. That area, that's not the first. And after my incident, after my encounter, the way I understand it, that I have a cousin that had one of her friends encounter something else out there in that same area. And the way I understand it was that this was some kind of a winged animal that he experienced. The way I understand it is he went to his girlfriend's house, you know, and he was visiting his girlfriend, left, and saw this thing, scared him, and then he turned around and went back to her house. To him, he was gone for like 15 minutes, and when he showed up back at her house, he had been gone for like an hour.
So he thought it was like 15 minutes and it was like an hour?
It was like an hour.
Wow. I don't know if he got abducted, maybe.
I don't know, but the way I heard it, and this, I don't know how accurate this is, but the way I understand it is that he encountered some kind of a winged animal, and it had red eyes.
Well, I mean, so some of the comparisons I feel like, so like you have Mothman of Point Pleasant, you know, you know, the winged red eyes.
Right.
You kind of have the same kind of little bit of description that they were talking about in the Chicagoland area over the last several years, but I don't know how real those are. And then you have like the Jersey Devil, another one that can have like kind of like almost a Goatman like appearance,
right?
But with wings, you know, and red eyes.
Right.
You know, are these just different manifestations of the demonic, or another realm, another entity that's been drawn into this reality?
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard about people that have encountered the Dogman, and he had red eyes, glowing red eyes, as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've had other descriptions too, where they've had yellow, you know, yellow eyes too, amber. Yeah, but the red eyes is a very much the common theme. Right. I saw what makes me wonder. You know, I had my shadow person experience, and it would appear most of the time to me like this 7-foot tall, just empty, void, black hole space. I could see sometimes arms and limbs. Usually I was not able to move. But there's one time it walked up to me, and it was not as 7 foot tall. It was more of a, you know, a little taller than me, and it had like a hat, like a top hat. And it walked right up to me. I was frozen in fear, and it's like, you can't do nothing was what I was getting in my like telepathy. I don't know, but it was basically like, you think you're in control here, you're not. It was letting me know. And then another time, years after my experience, I think this thing tried to get to me again when I was really sick, and I swear it started out as a shadow, but then it started to, this red kind of glow started coming, and I could see like a bestial face in it, inside of the shadow. Like a Dogman.
Oh, wow.
You know, it looked like a beast.
Wow.
That's all I can describe, like a werewolf. It was glowing red in its face. I was so sick with the flu. I was in our apartment, was already extremely haunted. It was our first apartment when I got married to my wife. And I just said, you know, I said, in the name of Jesus, in the name of God, get out of my house. And that was it. It was gone. I already knew I was not going to let this thing get me. I dealt with this thing before. I felt it was the same thing, but this time it like showed its face to me is what I felt like. Showed me more than what it was beyond the shadow. And that's what I wonder, what I was encountering the shadow being is just, you ever remember Harry Potter? Have you seen any of those? You remember they had the Bogart, which is based off of Irish mythology and all that, but you know, it's in the closet and each kid's brought up and it's going to pop out and become their worst fear.
Right.
And when it comes out, it's like a big shadowy, swirly mess until it becomes their fear, right? You know, are these like the Bogart? You know, these things you see. I've described this to. I compare the Utah Skinwalker Ranch and the Bell Witch of the late 1800s instances. They both started with the Bell Witch. It was a father and son in the field, and they ran across a beast in the field, a dog-like creature, but wasn't a dog or a wolf. They couldn't totally describe what this thing was. We have just the retold mythology or folklore of the Bell Witch to know, but that's how it all started. Before all the poltergeist stuff and craziness of the Bell Witch, because it gets way crazier after that, started with them just seeing a beast in the field for the Skinwalker Ranch. Before all the craziness ever started, it started with a father and son, not in a field, but on their ranch. This beast, they couldn't really, what it was a huge black wolf-like kind of beast, was literally biting onto a leg of a cattle, pulling it out, trying to pull it out of the bin. You know, and then all the craziness started from there. My theory is like, are these things some kind of parasitic from another reality that interacts with us all the time, that feed off our fear? And it goes to our first, because when we were a primitive man, what we mainly had to fear was some beast out in the field, some kind of animal or creature that could come kill us.
Right.
So does it take on that original primal fear of a beast, an animal, or something? And then it goes on from there to do more crazy stuff as it gets stronger with our attention and our fear, and it keeps feeding.
It just feeds off that fear.
It's a theory I have. I'm not sure, but I've always thought it's interesting that those two, Bell Witch and Skinwalker Ranch, they have all this weird, different activity. I mean, Bell Witch, this thing was talking to people. It all started with a beast in the field. That's how I would say.
Now it's just starting to make some of that connection there. This area that where this took place out east of that county, that area has actually been on, I want to say at least 2 different shows that are like Skinwalker's Ranch. That show Beyond Skinwalker's Ranch, this area has been on that show, and this is similar, almost like Skinwalker Ranch.
See? I'm always making connections. There's something to it.
But part of that connection, which we were talking about at the beginning of the show, is one of the areas where cattle mutilations take place.
See, and there's that tied to it. Like I said, I had one really great guest on here about Prion. She summed up the cattle mutilations as our government doing it because they're trying to see how bad they screwed up in the 90s with them bringing the Prion disease over here. And I hope it's paranormal. The cattle mutilations or UFOs or alien is not what she thinks, because we're all screwed. If it is, with prion disease coming down the line for all of us meat eaters, I guess. I don't know. It scares the hell out of me. But the cattle mutilations, there's a feeling, I think their gut instinct tells them there's something not right about these ranchers. Like this rancher, the story I covered here, he didn't want to let it go. I mean, he could go on about his business, get a new bull, but he felt there's something not right about this. This is not right how this animal died. So I kind of want to leave it a little bit of a cliffhanger. We'll talk about the cattle mutilation when we get back. We're going to go to commercial break here in a minute.
Okay.
But like you had one cattle mutilation case you dealt with. Do you think but were there more besides the one you dealt with that you knew of?
There was probably more, but the one I dealt with was definitely one. And he's the guy that I actually did this investigation for. He's been on several shows.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a small field of people that are into the cattle mutilations. Like I said, Linda Mohall being one of the people that started to really get the word out there about it. But You know, it's still happening, and it's just like the crop circles in England, and that's still happening. I don't think that's two old farmers still doing it, that they say make those crop circles, you know. And with the crop circles, there's always like weird phenomenon attached to that. You know, like I said, all these things, there's something connected where, like you said, the veil is thin in some areas, and there's walk-ins and things that, you know, I say a walk-in because what else could that be? Something walking in from another reality. I don't think there's a wild goat man, half-human species just wandering around the woods, do you?
I don't know anymore. There's
I'm just
so
saying,
many things.
It has to be some breaking of the lines of reality, you know, like something emerging from another dimension that's close to ours, or something, or demonic, or whatever religions have talked about it. For Native American, what would be the Native American history of that area?
You know what, I couldn't really tell you about it. I
Just
know
curious, because there's some
know-
Native American ties a lot of times to these things too.
Definitely a lot of Native American people that are in that area, but as far as I never heard any of their folklore or any
Well, they
stories
don't like
about
to talk about it. That's the thing. Most of the native tribes keep this stuff to themselves. They don't like to tell white man about it for good reason, for very good reason.
Well, they didn't tell me, and I'm part Native American, and they never told me.
I'm just saying they keep this stuff pretty tight to the chest, as I've seen for other stuff. You know, it's their traditions. I don't think they want people misrepresenting it. Is the biggest issue they have. Sensationalizing it either. All right, we got to go to commercial break. We're come back and we're going to talk about cattle mutilations and what he experienced with that. And we'll also open up the phone lines if you want to call in. Have you had a goatman experience or know somebody has? Call in. I saw somebody comment about that. Call in. Join the discussion tonight with our guest Gil Sanchez. We'll be right back.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
So they're okay. So, does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Gil Sanchez. He's a former patrol officer in Colorado that had an experience with Goatman. And man, I've always wanted to have a guest on to talk about Goatman and what an experience he had. Seeing this thing in the middle of the night, sees it, red eyes, half human, half goat, sneers at him. His car hits it. He feels it. But yet there's nothing there. No evidence. That would change your perspective, right? That would change your perspective. You never believed in the paranormal or saw these kind of things or thought any of this was real. That would change your mind, wouldn't it? I think it did for Gil. We're going to talk about that and his experiences. We're going to talk about cattle mutilations and their connection to this, maybe. We don't know. We're talking, but you can talk with us tonight. Phone lines are now about to be open. They are now open. Call into the show. Join the discussion. But let's get back to our guest. All right, thanks for hanging in there with us, Gil. So, all right, let's talk about this cattle mutilation that you got to witness. Or not to witness the actual mutilation, but the the dead cow, I guess. Mm-hmm. You there, Gil?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're there.
So, let's see. This investigation took place almost in the same area that the Goatman encounter took place. It would have been east of the county. This probably took place right around 2010. The rancher that called, he's actually been featured on a couple of different shows, which is known as the Miller Ranch.
Okay.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, his name is Tom Miller. Now, I was called out to his ranch, and I mean, it was textbook. Calls me out. He says, "Look, I got a cow that was down." He takes me out to the area, and the first thing I noticed, I'm thinking this as he tells me, I was like, "This thing looks like it was dropped out of the sky." And if there was a crater right around where the body was at of this cow. No tracks going in, no tracks coming out, no blood. Udders have been taken out. Uh, sex organs were taken out, and I believe there was even some of the skin taken off the face area, the skull area, and no smell, no insect, and every one of the cows that was in a herd over there didn't want to have anything to do with it, wouldn't even come close. I mean, anything you would hear or read about, I mean, it was just like that. I mean, it was textbook.
Yeah. Especially, you talk about no tracks. Looks like it was just dropped out of the sky. How long had it been since he had last seen it alive?
I think it had only been like he had seen it the day prior.
That's right. Like people are like, well, it's just animals getting it. It's just animals scavenging it. What do you say to that?
I'm going to say no because I mean, you want to talk about some precise cuts. I mean, these things were just precise. I mean, these are surgical cuts, and they had the appearance like whatever was used, not just cut it, but as it was being cut, was cauterized it.
Right, like a laser.
Because the edges of where the cuts are at, where you could tell they were burned.
Ooh, I mean, like, yeah, I've seen the pictures of that, and we don't show them on the show for people's. People don't want to see it, and YouTube
gruesome.
won't let us. Yeah, YouTube won't let us.
That's gruesome.
For good reason. You don't want to see it, but I've seen the pictures. I've seen the evidence that people have had, and yeah, it looks like something took like a laser scalpel that you see in a sci-fi movie, and cut them open. I've seen these pictures, and it's like, like I said, I had the lady on that says it's the government doing it. I don't know. I think they could find better ways of testing the prion thing than just randomly picking cattle out in fields to do that. But then again, who knows? And I mean, what's your thoughts? You're wearing a 1947 Roswell shirt. I mean, what have you thought about this when it comes to cattle mutilations?
In my area, where I was patrolling at, I think it had something to do with the military. This is my thought. I want to say a couple of years, well, quite a few years prior to having to do that investigation. Again, out east, I'm on patrol, going down one of the roadways, and I see this blacked out helicopter hovering over a herd of cattle. They're spotlighting this herd of cattle. Okay, I totally black out my unit, get out of the unit, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, am I really seeing this? Can't
So
hear.
It's at night, and it's a black helicopter, and it's shining its light down, right?
Right.
Like a spotlight.
And spotlight. I mean, it's over a herd of cattle. You can't hear it. You can't hear the propellers. You can't hear it at all.
That's military.
And I get on the radio, or not, no, excuse me, not the radio, on the phone, and I call the local airport, and I tell them, I says, do we have any aircraft in the area? And they said, no, we're not seeing anything on radar. We don't have anything. I told him, I said, are you sure? You're positive? He says, yeah. He says, I'm looking at the radar right now. He said, there's nothing in the area. I said, well, I'm looking at a helicopter out here, and I said, it's hovering over field. As I say that, the thing goes up in the air and heads farther east, and then just disappears.
And when you wonder if they were monitoring radio traffic.
Now, they could have been. See, the thing about it is, the direction they're heading, there's a maneuver site out there. They use it to do training out there for Fort Carson.
So you got Fort Carson out there, a military base, right?
Yeah. Well, Fort Carson uses it. that, as far as I know. I don't know
Yeah.
who else has access to that.
Well, see, a lot of times that you can find with the cattle mutilations, there's some kind of military base not far away.
Right.
And that's why, a lot of people, think it's the military doing it, but why? Like I said, I have the lady on, she says prions. I'm like, God, I hope not. But, other people think it's aliens, and I don't know. I mean, I've always been up in the air. What could this be? I have no idea. Feels like it'd be something, or I don't know why aliens would have to do it. It could definitely feels more along the lines of something our U.S. government's doing, without telling us, which, that's the part of the course for them.
And people are still seeing the bright light coming down and the no noise, so it looks kind of UFO-like to them.
I'm reading this comment here. 2007, 2010 in Western Canada, we had, let me just put it up here. Trains moving at night on the tracks had no company names, no lights on, usually had 6 to 8 cars and 1 engine that also had no identification. Yeah, there's that kind of stuff going on. I mean, I had it. I was on the phone with Terry Lovelace, an abductee and friend of mine that's been on this show, and we're talking about something I'll never talk about. Some stuff that happened with him. And I said, ooh, that's some dark stuff. I know he didn't know the connections I started to make for him when he started telling me some stuff. And I said, you be careful, blah, blah, blah. And like half hour later, I have a helicopter hovering over my house. Like right over my house. I open my door. As soon as I open my door, this thing goes flying like right over my house and out and away. And one of the things we were talking about before I had off the phone was the fact that he had these he was showing me video of helicopters hovering in his house and his sister's house. And then I go out my door half hour later and I got one over my house. I'm like, how? I mean, like, I like how to, if that's the government listening to a phone call or something like that. Well, I'm just some lowly, small show. They don't give a crap about me. But why would they do that? How would they even have a helicopter out here within a half an hour? And why? To intimidate me? I don't know. But it happened. I don't know. It's just weird.
Had one the same night.
What did you say?
I thought you both had one the same night.
He did. He did too. Oh, that's the other part of the story. Is that after I did, I talked to him and told him what happened. He had too, but he had already been having them. So I don't know what it is with the black helicopters. I couldn't tell you if this thing was black or not. It had one little red light on it on the tail. As it flew away, I could see. I could barely make it out. It was, pitch black night. But it wasn't silent because it felt like my whole house was shaking. I come up the stairs, my wife's like, what is going on? She's like, what is that sound? And I opened the door. I'm like, oh, that's a helicopter. It was just over our house. I mean, it had to be like literally hovering right over our house, like low flying. Like, shouldn't be that low.
Yeah, the helicopter I saw definitely didn't have any sound. I was like, that's why I was like, am I really seeing this?
Yeah. I mean, they have those helicopters that don't make sound like that. You can hear for self-operations.
There wasn't even any numbers on the tail. There was no numbers on the tail at all. Yeah, completely unmarked.
Wow, that is weird. So you've had these experiences. So this has kind of led you into becoming, more, I guess, becoming your own kind of investigator into the paranormal, or researching it, or kind of getting involved.
More researching into it. I really started getting into it as I started I want to say since like 2020. I really started getting into it because I started hearing more about people that have had these experiences, like with Bigfoot, with Dogman, some Goatman experiences, and I was like, okay, I'm not the only one that's been experiencing this. There's something going on out there. Which made me really look.
What are some of the experiences that you found that like really you think compare or like give you like maybe some more answers to your own experience?
I guess just the way that the experience, that the way they saw it, more or less. It's just like it was there for a second, then it was gone. I mean, you start thinking, hey, there's something to that. They're seeing it, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Or they'll experience it following them, all of a sudden it's gone. Or just like they see something physical, like there's been, I've read about several accounts where hunters have encountered Bigfoot and have taken a shot. They've actually seen it, heard it, took a shot, didn't hit it. All of a sudden it walks behind a tree and it's gone.
Yeah. Well, I've had it where they literally flashed a purple light and disappeared on somebody. I've heard that encounter, you know, like they even saw the moment of vanishing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people see like ghost lights and these ball lights and stuff, and sometimes like the shadow thing. Are these just unformed energy that's consciousness that can take shape or form? You know, like the Bogart again. You know, like are there things out there that we don't understand, and our reality that take these forms, these shapes that we get glimpses of, or whatever. And then again, you have to wonder, is it the land or the area that calls these things to it? Or is there occult practices that are bringing these things about? And is it demonic? If you get into the whole Judeo-Christian sense, they'll call it something demonic. I don't know. But what I do know is that this thing has been seen, what you saw, I think has been seen for thousands of years, because you can look at all the mythology and folklore that describe a creature pretty much like what you saw.
Right.
There's something to it, that we've been encountering these things out in the woods, be it Goatman, Dogman, or Bigfoot, for thousands of years. And it becomes your wild man lore of Ireland, or Yeti, or all these other creatures, folklore that we've had that are these experiences like yours that people had. They'll never know exactly what it was they experienced, but they grow their own kind of tales from it. There are Goatman tales. There's the one in Texas? Was it Alton, Texas? The bridge, I think, Goatman there. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I have. There's also
yeah, go ahead.
What was the other one? There was another one.
Well, there's one in Maryland.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Is that the one that was throwing tires at people?
I get them confused. It might be.
Yeah,
I know there's a famous Maryland one, and there's the Alton, Texas bridge one.
Yeah. This one was throwing tires at people, and they said this was like 8 feet tall, big Goatman.
I've heard the tall Goatman descriptions too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yours was a short, which to me plays a lot more into that kind of the pan and the folklore, that kind of deal.
Yeah, Greek mythology. What is it? The
Greek
satyr?
mythology. The satyr.
The satyr.
Thank you. God,
Yeah,
it was
the
driving me
satyr.
nuts all night trying to think of the satyr.
Yeah.
I mean, they came with that mythology, because something influenced them too. Yeah, you said you have a Native American background?
Yeah. On my mom's side, my grandmother was Cherokee, and on my dad's side it was Apache.
Oh yeah, so you got a lot. I got Cherokee. I got my grandmother was half Cherokee. So I don't know if sometimes we wonder if those things play in. I also have Irish. I mean, for me, like, you said you had this experience as an adult that opened your eyes. For me, my eyes were opened at a young age because I saw with my cousin, I saw a green floating head.
Oh, okay.
That's why green's my favorite color. You see the green background? It's very much a glow like this behind you.
Right.
But as a kid, I saw that and I never forgot it. And it just immediately, for me, it just changed my perspective, or left me with a perspective as a kid that anything's possible, that these things exist, because I know what I saw and heard, because this thing screamed around the room. I could hear it screaming. And my cousin Phil remembered it, happening. I had a witness at least, but I knew it wasn't a dream. I knew it was real. And I held on to that. So as a kid and as an adult, all the way to my adulthood, I've just accepted that there's so many things we don't understand, and that any of these things could be real. And I'm open to hearing anybody's experiences on it, because, I'm not, it's not to say I'm going to believe everything everybody tells me. No, it's just that I'm open to the possibility that what they're telling me is very much real, what they saw. That I believe what they're telling me they saw, they believe they saw it.
Yeah. Here's another one that happened to me when I was in high school. I want to say I was probably like 15 years old. I used to go hiking behind my grandparents' house because they lived next to this real big canyon. And went hiking back there one day. It was during the wintertime, and I was out there. I had my 22. I was just going out. just plinking stuff. And I'm walking through the tree line, and it was a ways back. I'm walking through this tree line, and out of my peripheral vision, I see this white silhouette, just like walking through the trees. And I look, and it was a girl that had a white gown walking through the trees, and she looked like she was barefoot. And I'm thinking, she's got to be freezing out here.
Yeah.
So, I start calling out, hey, are you okay? Do you need some help? And she walks behind this huge pine tree, doesn't come out. So I go over there, I keep on walking. I don't see any tracks. There's no tracks in the snow. And it was fresh snow. Matter of fact, it was snowing a little bit. There's no tracks. Keep on walking, just past that pine tree where she had disappeared. There's a headstone there.
Oh man. Oh man. What was was her name on it?
It was so old and so
Worn.
beat up. It was worn out. I couldn't even make out what the dates were.
Wow. That's a creepy story, man. That's a creepy experience.
Yeah, and
To
I
see
was like,
something like that.
okay, going home. Target shooting was done for the day.
Yeah, definitely. But see, you didn't think about it for years, and these things started coming back to you once you have like the Goatman experience,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how you kind of write these things off, these experiences you had in your childhood and your adolescence or whatever, and then you become an adult and kind of write it off, forget about it, and then you have some kind of crazy experience like you did, and it makes you bring all this stuff back up and start to question, like you said, you question your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's hard for people that hear your experiences or my experiences or all the guests I've had on here that don't. That's why I always ask, like, have you had any other experiences? Because I feel like just some people are born without any perception of it at all. Like, they just don't perceive these things at all. While others, like me, you, Jamie, and many that are watching, we've had these experiences, and we've had more than one. That's generally what I find. Now, I've had people on that are like, I never had a single paranormal experience until this thing,
Mm-hmm.
Definitely that, and then now they're open, but a lot of people I find that I bring on have had, maybe to them, they're like, well, that's just this little experience I had. No, but I think they're all connected in some way. At least you are somehow showing that you perceive these things that others don't.
Yeah. I've actually had a few out here in South Carolina since moving out here to South Carolina. One of them happened to be a shadow person.
Oh, well, we got to talk about that. All right, tell me about that, because that's my big experience.
Yeah, this matter of fact, this was just I want to say latter part of last year. I walk my dog. I have two blue heelers I walk,
Aw.
and we're going for a walk, and it's just right down the road over here. And there used to be this, I want to say it's old retirement home that was there. And so it closed all of a sudden. I mean, it just shut down. Then comes to find out that I guess it just didn't have very good reputation, period. I didn't know anything about it, and I started reading about it. I was
So
like, why is this?
it's one of those nightmare retirement homes.
Yeah, I guess it just had a really bad reputation.
Yeah.
Anyway, one night, okay, this will go into two of them. Again, I was walking the dogs. It was late, and we're coming back, and I live in an apartment complex, but it's like a huge apartment complex, and one of the open apartments that they had been working on, it was vacant. And we walk down, went around the parking lot where we usually go, come back, and I hear this rattling on the door across the street, like somebody's trying to break into this door. And I stop and I'm thinking, somebody trying to break in over there. So I shine my flashlight over there across the road. I have one of these real strong flashlights, being in law enforcement. I'd shine my light over there, and I could literally see the door like vibrating, like shaking back and forth, but there isn't anybody in there. It's just shaking back and forth. And I was like, what in the world? And the dogs heard it too, and they're just kind of like their hackles go up, and I was like, okay, we need to get out of here. So we walk back, we come back home, and just call it good. Couple of weeks after that, we're walking down. We do the same path. Walking down. We're walking back, and I keep on feeling this like somebody's following me. All of a sudden, the dogs stop and they turn around. My older dog, my older healer, turns around and his ears are straight up and his hackles go up. The smaller one turns around and he starts growling. And I was like, what in the world? I turn around. Jason, I kid you not. I'm sitting there staring at this black void that was shaped like a person, like a silhouette.
Yeah.
It's like 12 feet away from me. It's looking right at me. Or what it appears to look at me. I couldn't tell if it was away from me or looking at me. It was just solid black, but it was a silhouette of
It's like it's sucking in the light. It's like a black hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what you're talking.
And I have my flashlight and I go to shine my light on it. It like vaporizes and gets like sucked into the ground. All of a sudden I see this like patch of black smoke, and it shoots across the pathway under the bushes and disappears.
Did it move at all, like a slither at all?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it did.
I'm sorry, I've experienced this. I went through 4 or 5 months of seeing this thing fully awake. Like I would have it at night start with the terrors, but I'd start to see this thing like you saw it with my eyes. I'm fully awake, like that.
But I'm looking at my dogs, and my dogs see this as well. They don't like what's going on. We get out of there. But it was just solid black. I'm looking at it. It's like I said, 10, 12 feet away from me, and I'm staring right at this thing. And it just like sucks into the ground, turns into this like black mist or smoke, and just like you said, it slithers away into the bushes and it's gone.
Yeah, that sounds like you had a shadow person experience. Hopefully it doesn't follow you home. Like I did, like mine. That is weird. That is, I say it's weird, but I've had this experience. Like it's undeniable to me that these things are out there. What they are, like I said, my Christian friends. I believe in Jesus. When I say my Christian friends, I'm just not belong to the Christian religion. I have my own faith, but they would say it's demonic. What you saw, I experienced is demonic, and they might not be wrong. Tomato, describing what the unknown or whatever they are. They're not good. I know some people say, "Oh, I've had good shadow person experiences" or whatever. I think sometimes the perception of an entity, be it a ghost, spirit, or something else, demonic or whatever, can all appear as a shadow. But when you see an actual, like me and you encountered, it's different than just seeing a fleeting shadow. This thing is the absence of light. Did you feel it, like in a sense too? Because what this thing always brought to me was dread, the feeling of dread.
Yeah, like I said, I felt like something was following me, and I turned around, because I could see, I could just sense it behind me.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, exactly. I could feel it. But what really made me turn around and look is when my dog Roscoe, he stopped, and he about faced, and I was like, "What in the world's behind me?" So I turned around, and that's when I see it, and it's like literally following me, and it stopped when I turned around, and it like I said, it was like 10, 12 feet away from me. Now, I'm staring
I actually
at
had my wife as a witness to one of these encounters. This thing, my shadow person experience when I was 18 ended with me finding God. Humbling myself and saying, I'm sorry. And I felt this presence come into my room that was, it took me years to talk about this because I'm anti-religious. I'm anti any organized religion, but I do believe in a higher power because of this experience. It took me years to accept that. But when it cleared it, I never felt like I had to fear it ever again. But I have it. It's not like I haven't encountered it since. I had that one when I saw it when I was first married to my wife. We were first living together. But before we even were living together, and I saw it that last time, we had one encounter together. We were just dating, and we're on this road, Johnson Road, and we're going by this place called Waterford Inn. It's a famous country bar kind of tavern area, and it's around this curve where there's been a number of accidents, deaths. We're coming around that curve, and it's brightly lit by the Waterford Tavern and whatever, I think it's Waterford Inn or whatever it's called. It's brightly lit from their parking lot and signs there when you come around, pretty brightly lit. And down the road, as we're coming around the curve, I see like what you see, but it's like the figure of the same blacked out thing, but it's figure like silhouetted standing, and it's like it looks out, it bends over like looking like it's going to step out on the road on us. And I'm about to open my mouth going, oh my God, what I'm seeing, to say to my wife, and before I could say anything, it's like something flipped the lights off in the world. I'm immediately blind. I can't see a thing. I'm seeing the purple coloration. You know, if you turn off the lights suddenly, you see purple in your vision because it's the retinas and the chemicals in your eyes. That's what I'm seeing. As soon as I'm seeing this, I'm in shock. Why am I blind? My wife is screaming, and I feel the car jerk. She was blind too.
Oh, wow.
It blinded her too. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4. We're back, and now we can see. And she's like, "What the hell was that? What the hell was that?" She's like, "I couldn't see. I was blind." I'm like, "So was I." And I tell her I saw the shadow person like peek out. She's like, "I saw something too down at the end of the road." And this is where people died and crashed. Now, can I tell you what that was or why we had that experience? I don't know. And is that why people crashed there? I don't know. Is that the same shadow entity that messed with me years before? I don't know. But I know it was a shadow entity. It looked just like what I had experienced before when this thing would show itself to me. And it almost killed us. What is that? You know?
I mean, that
God protected us, I hope. You know, I'm sure in that situation too, you know? But... And that's why I tell people, like, I don't preach any religion or any religious organization at all, but I do believe people should have a faith in a higher power. and build a relationship with it spiritually.
Definitely.
Because of these things.
Yeah. I know you had mentioned earlier something about, you said the shadow person that you experienced were like messing with you, like telepathy type.
It would start with like it's the whole experience, you know, I don't want to get into all of it, but a lot of times when it first started with what I thought were nightmares, I'd be paralyzed in my bed and this thing would be at the foot of my bed. But it would start with like this really, I describe it as Mark Hamill's Joker laugh. Like this really wicked laugh. And it almost sounded like it'd be coming through a tin radio at first, like a really crackly radio. And then it would like reverberate through my room. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm hearing this with my ears. I think it's in my head. And this thing would, like, when it walked up to me, when it would look like what I later would, when I heard the Hat Man, I'm like, well, that's one time this thing looked like I had a hat. When it walked right up to me, I felt like this thing was talking to me telepathically, telling me, what are you going to do? Because I challenged it again. I had challenged it. I was smoking a cigarette outside in the middle of the night, trying to hide it from my parents. And I saw this thing walk out of the woods, and I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm not going to be afraid. You can't hurt me, you know? And it just walked right up to me like, what are you going to do? And I was frozen in terror. I couldn't do anything. When the night that this thing really attacked me, before I went to bed that night, I'm like, I'm done. I am not letting you take me anymore. Because what it would do is I'd be paralyzed, and it would like it'd feel like it'd take this hand and put it down my throat and choke me. And like next thing you know, I'd be ripped out of my body, going through my ceiling, and it'd show me something. Like it showed my girlfriend cheating on me was one of the first things it showed me. It showed me all the things people were saying behind my back. It'd take me and show me things from my past and laugh at me. It knew all my worst things I'll never talk about. You know, people talk about this is your shadow, your id, messing with you and spiritual, like your beginning of your spiritual journey. I've heard that. Maybe, because it knew everything about me. It knew everything. all my insecurities. Is like nothing I thought could fight back to this thing. But the night I said, I'm done. You're not taking me. I'm like, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you. It's what started all this was me challenging it in the first place. And here I am doing it again, challenging. I'm going to fight you. You're not going to take me. And it sure as crap did not care. Next thing you know, I'm paralyzed. This thing's above my bed. I hadn't gone to sleep yet, so I really know I'm awake. And I'm being lifted up off my bed. I'm floating up in the air. And then it throws me back down. And I feel myself like a board shaking on my bed. It lifts me up again and throws me back down. The whole time I'm hearing this wicked laughter. And I don't know if I'm hearing it with my ears or if it's in my head. It's hard for me to say because I'm in this shock, terrorized state. Mm-hmm. The third time it lifts me up, and I can actually feel my nose hit the stucco and my feet touch the fan in my room on the ceiling. And I just lost it in my mind. I'm like, I'm so sorry. All I could think of is I need a higher power. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm just going, God, please help me. God, please help me. I'm so sorry, God. And I just croaked out, like that. I could barely get my mouth to move. And as soon as I could croak that out, it was like this bright flash, white light filled my room coming from my window in front of me. Like it was just peering through my window. And this thing screeched and was gone. I hit the bed, fell off to the floor, and I saw an older man walk through that window. That bright light was still shining, and the light started to fade, and I see this old man with glasses and white hair and suspenders. And he kind of gives me a little disapproving look and then smiles and just walks back out and away. And I later looked at a picture. I thought it was I thought, well, maybe it's a great-grandfather who helped me. My mom's grandfather, Harvey, was somebody she'd been told has helped us and around. But I actually saw a picture of my great-grandfather, Bach, and I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy who was in my room. I've seen the picture. They did. I had no denying it now to me. I know who was in my room. My great-grandfather, Bach, was in my room. And God saved me, but he was a part of it. And that's why I think you have your ancestors and a higher power watching over you. Right. And I had to humble myself and say, I'm sorry. I am not God. I can't, I don't have the power to stop this thing. I need them. But it also is a realization that I gave it all the fear. I gave it all my power with my fear. And that's what I think these feeds feed. This is what this thing fed on. It wanted me isolated, wanted me alone. It wanted to feed on my fear. It wanted me to do horrible, bad things, too. Mm-hmm. I tried to kill a kid in a fight. I felt it. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to kill this guy. This thing, and that's what I always say. What happens to the people that don't humble themselves, don't find the spirit, like the awakening I did, and find a higher power or God and give into it? Because it either wanted me to really hurt myself or it wanted me to hurt someone else. So that's my experience you'll hear on the History Channel. We have some questions in chat. All right, let me see. What do we got? Did you star any of them, Jamie?
I starred all three. Two of them kind of went together.
Let me go to my stars. Okay, here we go.
And then
well, I saw this one earlier. I don't know if Amy O is still around, but I saw that was interesting. My brother, as she said Boatman, but I know she meant to say Goatman. Story out of Colorado near Indian Res. He lived next to. That's why I was wondering if there's any Native American thing. Heather, what is the difference between Goatman and the Jersey Devil? Right, I said there's a lot of similarities between the two. Have you looked into the Jersey Devil at all?
I read a little bit about it, but never really made any kind of connection. To me, it's like two different entities to me.
Well, it has wings.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the closest things that it would be to similarities is kind of the legs.
Right. The backward legs. Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of the similarities are.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the one guy he had a creature you saw with wings. Like I said, are these just all manifestations of something from another realm? What Judeo-Christianity would describe as demons.
Right.
What's the other one? I think the guest has an ability from God. He just doesn't know it yet. Ask the guest if people just walk up to him and start telling him their story.
Say that again.
Said, I think the guest has an ability from God. He just doesn't know it yet. Ask the guest if people just walk up to him and start telling them their story.
That has happened a couple of times, actually.
So you stir the soul is hitting the nail on the head here. Probably. Well, that's kind of my point, though. I mean, I think they are gifts from God, our experiences. And our ability to see these things from the veil. that others don't. Like I said, there are plenty of people who do not see these things at all, ever. They just look at us like we're crazy people.
Yeah, because the reason I was asking you about the telepathy thing is after I had the experience with that shadow person, again, I was on a walk with the dogs again, same area, and we're just walking, enjoying the walk, and like out of nowhere, like in my head, I hear this voice, "You're never gonna find me. You don't know who I am."
Oh, see that? You're hearing it in your head, right?
And I'm hearing it in my head, and I was like, "What in the world?" I start looking. I was like, "Did I just hear that?" It's just me and the dogs.
But did it make you question, like, did I hear that in my head or in my ears? Did it
Right.
make you question that?
Yeah, it did.
Exactly. Like, I'm not still to this day sure if I was hearing it with my ears or if it was all in my head. Sometimes I knew, like, when I encountered it out behind my parents' house and was smoking a cigarette, when that was the Hat Man thing, I did not hear any of it with my ears. It was definitely what I was perceiving from this thing. But when I'd be terrorized by this thing, I'd hear that laughter and the echo.
Mhm.
Was that my ears or was that in my head? I don't know. I was like in a different mental state during this.
Yeah. And then I'm kind of like, what's going on? So I keep on walking. All of a sudden, like I just get this flash of this flaming upside down pentagram. And I'm thinking, what did I just see? And then I hear it again. "You're never going to find me." And then it just stopped. Like everything, all of a sudden, I was just like, everything is normal again.
And it's the same street where you heard the door shaking. Was
Yep.
this a house when you heard the door shaking? I forgot to ask. Was it somebody's
It
residence?
was a vacant apartment.
Vacant apartment. Okay.
Yeah.
So nobody should be living there or whatever. We do got a phone call I want to get to.
I wonder if there's like a hex in there or something weird.
Well, that's what I wonder. We'll get to that. Who do we got on the line?
Hi, Jason. Hi, Jamie. It's Azariana. How are
Azariana.
everybody tonight?
Doing good. Thanks for calling in. This is my loyal Azariana. She is a Patreon and a YouTube channel member. Thank you for your support of the show because it does help pay these hefty bills I got for it.
Oh, thank you. Your guest was talking about the Goatman. Now, I had never heard about, the Goatman. Two questions. Do you think that the Goatman goes in the category with Mothman and the other and Bigfoot and other things like that?
Yes, I believe it.
An experience.
Go ahead, Gil.
Yeah, I believe it's a cryptid. I really do. I've heard of other people that have seen it and had almost a similar experience. I think this is definitely a cryptid.
But do you think it's a cryptid, like I said before, that is like something that we missed in the evolutionary chain of things that's out there living existed right now? Or is it something that walks into our reality and disappears?
I think it's something
kind of cryptid.
I think it's
paranormal cryptid.
It's a paranormal cryptid. I believe it actually can walk from that veil into our reality and then back.
Okay. And, well, let's make three questions. Well, two more questions then. I don't remember, you felt threatened or it was going to come attack you if you went to it?
At the time, right before I made impact, before I hit this creature, it looked directly at me and it had this snare in its face, and I immediately felt like, this is some kind of evil entity. I immediately felt like, there is just an evilness about this right before I made impact with it. And when I got out and when I was looking for it, I could hear it coming at me, but I couldn't see it. And I don't know why I couldn't see it. I don't know if it had like maybe it made itself invisible, but I could hear it. I could hear it coming at me, but I couldn't see it. And that's when I was like, okay, this thing has some ill will. If it's coming at me, I can't see it. That's when I started making my way back to my unit.
Okay. Yeah, well, I asked that to you because a few years back, I was coming home from someplace, and I was on the highway, and I saw something crossing the road. Jason, I think I've said this before.
Yeah.
But it looked like it came out of the woods. It just came out of the side. There was woods on the side of the highway, and it was white. It was it looked like a wolf type animal, and it was crossing the highway, but yet it was bigger than a wolf, than your average coyote wolf type thing, right? And I kind of tried to slow down the car. The highway was kind of empty at the time, or that section was empty at the time. And I said, okay, I'll let you cross. And again, telepathically, you had said that telepathically. It speaks to you. This looked right at me, stopped in the middle of the lane, and looked at me, and also had red eyes. And I'm going, well, are you a wolf? Are you a coyote? What are you? Why am I seeing you? That kind of thing. But I'll let you cross the road and, go on your way. And it did. But when I looked back in the rearview mirror to see if it had crossed safely to the middle of the highway, it had disappeared. So the rest of my trip back home, I was questioning, why did I see that? What was it? Was it a dog? Doubting myself a zillion questions. And I came to understand it was some type of shapeshifter. And since I had seen that shapeshifter, I tend to see them. I've seen not coyotes. I've actually seen wolves, and I've seen some horses and deer also. Now, I don't know why I see them, and I say thank you when I see them, because it's a gift. And I think you have that gift too. I don't know if it's because of your heritage, but I don't have any Native American, any part of heritage.
I don't think you have the Native American heritage precisely to have these
Native American,
experiences, you know. But I do think there's a lot of things to play in your roots of your ancestors that does play into these things.
Right, but I think that he has that he has a gift, and that, like I said, I say thank you. I mean, I never have felt threatened when I see these, even though the red eyes are kind of scary and creepy, But I always say thank you.
You know what? I can say from my shadow person experience, as much as it drove me to the brink and almost killed me, and drove me insane, I have to be thankful for it, because it humbled me and made me realize that there's a higher power. Called God or the Force, So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. And we humans tend to see what is around us, what our reality is, but yet there's so much more that's out there. And, if you are lucky to get a glimpse of any of it, that, it's, like I said, say thank you and appreciate it, because, our reality is definitely you know, it's there's a lot out there we can't understand, you know.
Definitely.
But that
definitely,
you know, but yeah, it, like I said, you know, as long as, like I said, I think it's a gift, and if you continue to see whatever they are, like I said, mine was a shapeshifter, or at least I've come
That's
to
something I have a
realize
huge
that.
interest in is the idea of changeling shapeshifters, shamans,
Right.
change their
Right.
form and the history of that. But
Right, but he can get knowledge, and I think that it's very important that he does.
well, thank you, Zariana, for calling in.
Thank you, and blessings to everybody, their families, and fur babies.
Thank
Blessings to you. Love you, Zariana. Have a
thank
good
you.
night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See, I've talked about this with Josh Turner. The idea of the changeling or the werewolf. I have a huge fascination with that. Huge fascination with that. And you know, I've said, you know, is some of these things, are they people who are shapeshifters, shamans, skinwalkers? You know, the idea that I believe sometimes what would be called the demonic, whatever, these entities can manifest through humans, change humans. Because you hear that, you know, you hear stories of people that change, you know, people see them change their shape or their form or their face. You know, you've heard this, the whole reptilian thing, but werewolves, you know, I just, as a kid, I've always been fascinated by werewolves and the whole lore behind werewolves. And I know in the dogman community, they're not werewolves. I don't know about that. Some of them might be. Werewolf fan here, just saying, you know, some of them might be people who've summoned some kind of, you know, either it's part of the, you know, I mean, you can get all the different kinds of lore of werewolves, of how they form or come about and all that. But some people might have this ability, or it might be, I always say it could be the ultimate form of demonic possession. The demon's taken over and totally transformed the human body into its true form.
Yeah, well, that's a real good possibility right there.
I mean, what happens when somebody is fully demonically possessed, if you believe in that thing? We got about 5 minutes to commercial break. We got another phone call, and I'll take it. Dan, how you doing, Captain?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for calling in, bud. We got about 5 minutes till commercial.
Cool. Oh, yeah. I had a quick story to share. Hello, Gil. Jamie, by the way. But, and I tried to convince myself that it was just kind of a mistaken thing, but it happened when I was about 9 years old, I guess. We were, you know, outside at night. We were throwing rocks up so the bats would chase them, you know, thinking they
I used
were
to do that with
bugs or
baseballs.
whatever.
We would do that with baseballs. Yeah. Catch and throw it up at the bats. Yeah.
Having a good time, but like I say, I've tried to write it off, but it is something that sticks with me, though. And I remember looking up, and I seen kind of cruising over the trees, about a 15-foot space where you could kind of see the moonlit sky. But it looked like a bat. It looked like a giant bat. Like, I guess the best way to describe it would be like a Dracula bat or something. But
You know, you've heard the Mothman descriptions. It's pretty big.
Well, yeah. And, you know, the more I think about it, you know, I was young, but could I have mistaken it somehow? Could I have mistaken an owl, you know? But I remember its wings, you know, it had like bat wings, you know, that kind of shape.
Was this around the time you were messing around with the Ouija board and doing all that?
No, this was long before that. Probably about 9 or 8 years before that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that sounds like these kind of entities, these kind of things. You know, are they literally the demons that people have described for centuries, or the creatures, or these things that they manifest? You know, what you saw. I mean, do you really believe there's some unknown species of humanoid bat flying around? No. But are they slipping into our reality? Yes. And by the way, I had Masochist Mouse. You said you heard a growl. I don't know. I have a buzz on this line I've been trying to get rid of. So that might be the buzz. You can hear it right now on my phone line. That might be what you heard, not a growl. But if you heard a growl, I want to know when. I'll try to find it because we do get EVPs and weird stuff. The weird happens live on this show. It does.
Please.
And I
like I went off the phone now.
Oh, God.
I am going to let you go, Dan, though. We got a commercial break coming up. But, man, yeah, I remember you telling me that experience. I do not want to see a big flying bat creature. I know that.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but...
Not on this show. It's part of the course. But thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
You too, bud. I saw Heather Wood just said goodnight. She's going to bed, but she's another listener who's called in with her Dogman experience of recent.
Oh, jeez.
That she's had in her trailer park, and where is it? She's in Iowa. Is it where she is? Heather, was it in Iowa? I think it's in Iowa. I know she went to bed. Oh, is Ariana saying she heard a growl? Is Ariana? Did you hear it when you were on the phone? Think about that, or did you hear it while you heard it through the show? All right, we'll have to figure out where that was. I will go back. We have had EVPs come through this show and weird stuff.
And my cats have been meowing, but I haven't heard them growl.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear a growl.
And my stomach hasn't been growling, because I'll admit it. Like, if I hear my stomach growl, you heard
Isn't that worse?
It's
You're a paranormal investigator, and, like, you have to, like, tag your stomach growl.
Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not a demon.
It's like, that's just my stomach, guys. Sorry. Gotta tag that. The troubles of being a paranormal investigator, you gotta tag your own stomach growls or even your farts. You don't want that to come across as a demonic growl. But it's true, you got to. If you really want to do a thorough job, everybody's got to sit there and talk about it. Don't eat anything really upsetting before it. We're going to go to commercial break. We only got less than a half hour left with our guest, Gil Sanchez. We've been talking about Goatman and his experiences. But we'll be right back after a short commercial break. You got any other phone calls? We'll try to take it, but wait till we come back from the commercial break. We only got less than a half an hour left of the show. But if you got an experience, something you want to share like Dan did and Ziriana, please call in. Even if you shared it before. Dan shared that story before, but it's always good. I bring up my experiences I've shared with you guys a billion times because we're having a conversation with other people like Gil and comparing notes. That's what we do on this show. It's an open conversation. I don't have listed questions for guests. It's a conversation. And if you want to join it after this commercial break, call in. We got about a half hour left, and we'll be right back.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hopsey Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do,
re,
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight we've been talking to Gil Sanchez about his Goatman encounter, cattle mutilations, Shadow Man encounters. Like I said, I'll get people to tell me about an experience like his Goatman experience, and I'll inquire more about other experiences because I find that many of the people that have these kind of experiences have others. Their perception's open. It's not always the case. There's some people, they're brand new to it. It's their first encounter in their adult life. They had something weird happen. But a lot of times, I find us that have had these encounters have had a lot. We've had a lot of other things that we witnessed or see that somehow the veil is more thin for some of us. And as our callers tonight show that it is for a lot of you that watch, I think, have had these experiences. Well, the phone lines are going to be open right now. You can call in, join the conversation with our guest, Gil Sanchez, tonight. But we only got a little bit of time left, about less than a half hour. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Gil, thanks for hanging out with us this late at night on a Sunday.
Yes, sir.
I know it's late, but it's been, like I said, when you told me you had the Goatman experience, I'm like, I got to have you on. And I knew, I got you to talk about things you probably didn't think you'd talk about on the show, but that's what happens here. As well, the paranormal happening live is people saying they heard a growl on the show. I don't know. I'll have to research that. What's this?
My boys were sleeping, so.
I just heard a noise that sounded like a growl. I don't know, but I just think you were moving your chair.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's what that is. So that might have been what they heard. The movement of the chair. You heard that? That sounded like a growl. See, we got to debunk these things. What does this say from Masochist Mouse? I got attacked by something in a dream when I was a child, and I couldn't find anything similar until in my 30s. How long in commercials? I might be able to call in. You're good to call in. You got time, Sonny. Call in. Talk about it. Lines should be open. Let me, sometimes it's best if I pull up the app. Yeah, there we go. Call in, 219-230. I never put it up. I never put the banners up either for you guys. That's stupid of me. There you go. 219-230-4444. That's the best number to call in. The 260-225-9419. Might have issues with. And there's also Skype, oojblandoo or jblandparanormalsoup. Those are the ways to call in. They're linked in the description of the show, too, if you need to actually see the phone number. But, yeah, I love hearing your guys' experiences. That's why I made sure to have some kind of phone line for people to call in to talk about these things. But, like I said, I don't know if we heard a growl. We have had weird stuff like that happen, though, on the show. Like, we had a full EVP once come through on the show many, many years ago with Katrina Cooper on. It was a medium friend of ours. And, by the way, for people who were asking last week, I have confirmed with Katrina. She will be here for our kind of Halloween show. It's after Halloween, Day of the Dead show. We definitely have Katrina confirmed for that and probably some others. I'm working on it. All right, here we go. We got a phone call. Let's see who this is. Who do we got on the line?
Hello?
Hello, you're on air.
Oh, all right. So, all right, I can't see the chat anymore, but that's okay.
That's all right. You're here with us.
Okay. So...
Who is this, by the way? Who's calling it? I want to get the name.
Okay.
First name.
My name is Jenny Brooke. I'm actually a musician and a painter. I do all kinds of weird stuff on Facebook and YouTube. But I've been on this quest to figure out what it is that I saw and figure out exactly what happened to me. I've got some answers, but a lot left unanswered. So backstory, real quick, so you understand where it happened. In a 200-year-old hand-built house up in the mountains of Maine, in the middle of nowhere. It was built on a granite slab. Underneath the granite slab, through the cellar, was a natural spring that would run water under the house into a lake that the house was on. And we always joked about ghosts and paranormal and how we're psychics and empaths in the family. And yeah, well, I learned how to do a card trick. Before I knew how real all this was, we never took it seriously. I'm not going to say how to do the card trick because I don't want people picking that up and doing it out there. But it answered yes or no, basically. So we would do that. Like every summer, we'd go to this lake house and do that every summer. And I think we stirred a lot up. So a bunch of random ghost stories happened in between the years of that. And was it real, was it not? I don't know. But it happened to multiple people that stayed in that house. Like cops were called even on shadow people being there. And so fast forward, I'm now living in that house. And my sister passed away. My younger sister from an accidental fentanyl overdose.
Oh, geez.
And it was a very tragic, crisis, unexpected thing to happen in our family. That, it broke me to the point, I had insomnia. Yeah. I was hearing voices and saying things. And I got checked out by a doctor. I got proper therapy, medication. But the thing is, the voices and the things I was saying didn't stop. And I got the check. My health is fine. And maybe it's, not from sleeping. I got my sleeping in check and I started journaling. I was seeing the number 33 everywhere, where I had to Google it, like, does this happen to people? Synchronicities all of a sudden start happening in line. I learn about intuition, and I start just going with the flow, practicing, like, while I'm driving, doing all that stuff. So I started feeling, like, on point. Like, I got these abilities, like, whoa, right? And I willy-nilly, let's talk to the spirits. Let's see what happens now, right? Not protecting myself, not doing anything I should have. All I had was a phone that would record, and I can get EVPs. So I would stand on this porch in the middle of the night, and I have videos on YouTube of evidence I have caught.
Yeah.
Orbs, EVPs, stories that happened to me on this porch. And I named it. I named it Kyle. Thought it was my friend. Would get to the point where I would actually be able to communicate, and like I built like a relationship with this entity. But then it started getting dark. It started affecting my children. My kids would tell me, Mom, there's someone in the room. They were scared to sleep in their room at night. Everyone in the house all of a sudden is scared of the dark. You go into this room, all of a sudden vibes were off, and you just didn't want to be in certain rooms anymore. And I was like, maybe their presence is getting stronger, and I'll just tell them to back off, right? So I'm like, you need to leave my family alone, or whatever. And the next day, stuff was being moved in the house. Doors were being opened. Lights were going on and off. Could be electrical, could be the house. It's 200 years old, didn't think much of it. Well, my dumbass, this is the incident. This is what happened. It caused me to move out and sell all my belongings within a week, and I moved from Maine to Florida when this happened. I told my 8-year-old daughter, hey, you want to see a cool thing I've been doing? I made a ghost friend named Kyle. You want to hear it? Because I would always get EVPs. And there was this spot in the house that there's a staircase you can go under. It was like a laundry room. And connected to it was the barn. So it was a really creepy part of the house. No one really liked to go in. But I was like, this is a perfect spot. I know I'll get it. EVP. So I bring my daughter in there, and we're both standing under the staircase, and we're both looking underneath it, because it's like it goes over our head. I said, Kyle, are you there? Kyle, come say hi, And then I go to replay it back, and my daughter points at the stairs, and she saw it completely different than me. She saw it completely different. She saw a black orb, and I shit you not, it was like within arm's length, and it was not small, and it was not going away, and it was not moving. I saw it for a flash as a black orb, and then on the stairs, a creature emerged from the wood, and its fingers came out first, like it had to pry open whatever it was coming through. It pried it open. I could draw the detail of the veins and the hair and the sweatiness of this thing. It had like skin spots, like it had freckles even. When it came out, it had no eyes, but there were sockets where eyes could be. It had a really big mouth with no teeth, and it had this really weird tongue. And it was slapping the wood, like it was hitting around, and it was going with its mouth, like tasting the air. Like it couldn't see, it didn't know, but it knew we were there, and it was trying to come closer to us. I watched this happen. It felt like an eternity before we finally screamed and ran out of the fucking house.
Watch the language, sorry.
And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go back in the house.
Right.
My other daughter and my husband was still in the house. And the first thing I thought of, sage. People burn sage, right? Yeah. Well, I need to go get sage right now. And there's a million hippie pot marijuana shops everywhere. I was like, I know I could get sage. I got sage, and I let my daughter, even if it was a freaking placebo, pick out a crystal that she felt like it would protect her. I was like, these have magical powers, you know?
Right.
So she picked one out. I walk, and my parents live there too, by the way. So when we got back from the store, I show the sage to my dad, and he, out of character, was like, don't you dare bring that in this house. Like, he knew immediately what it was, what I was going to do, but he really didn't. He had no clue, like, what I was doing. Yeah. And he walked in the house, so I was like, okay, that was weird. I left it on the porch. When my daughter walked in with the rock, it cracked into a million pieces, and she got some sort of reaction from it. Her arm started turning red, all up and down. Didn't bring her to the ER. A warm bath calmed it down, but that was alarming. And then I got to burn the sage, I waited till everyone went to sleep, didn't tell anyone else what happened. My daughter freaked out. It took a long fucking night to get her to go to sleep without anyone else knowing what happened, right? And I'm not telling her to be quiet, but I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out before I say anything to anybody. I light the sage when everyone is sleeping. My husband rises out of a dead sleep. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And, like, just lays back down. And he doesn't remember doing it. Yeah. It happened. I go to my mother's room. She starts choking. Like, her face started swelling up. Like, it turned out she was allergic to it. But so we debunked that. Sorry, Mom. But that started happening. And then I go downstairs, and my father's downstairs, and he grabs his hair, whips it upwards, like trying to pull his own hair out, and he yells at me, I'm gonna fucking kill myself! Staring at me, like dead-eyed. That was not his face.
Yeah.
It was not his face. It was morphed. He had, his eyes weren't all black, but the centers were black.
Like his eyes were dilated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I threw the sage outside, and he went to bed. I went out on the porch and started hysterically crying. Didn't know what to do. So a week earlier, because my sister, a friend sent a prayer with Archangel Michael. So I'm frantically looking through my phone. All of a sudden, my phone won't work. It didn't die, but it would not do what I wanted it to do.
Like, find the prayer.
It never to find the prayer. Like, it knew telepathically what I was trying to do. I'm not narrating my every move for something to know. It already knew what I was trying to do, and it was able to manipulate technology and go interwebbed. I turn my phone off, turn it back on. I go to find the friend that sent the prayer. They're not there. They're not there. And after God knows how long, like, how is this person not? I looked under my blocks list. They're blocked. Like, I don't know where they're blocked. I finally find them. Sudden, I feel poke from my shoulders all the way to my toes. I was being poked nonstop by something. Like, and it was pressure, it was a finger, and it was human-sized, and it was just poke after poke after poke everywhere. And every time I would look and I stood up, walked away, then the poking happened only on one side of my body. Like, I moved away from it, and it was still following me. I ran out into the street. The street only had one street light. It was 3 houses down. And the only thing I knew to do inside of me was get to the light, to get out of the dark, get to the fucking light. And then all of a sudden, my phone started working. I was able to pull up the prayer, and I said the prayer. It's like it sounds so silly to say out loud, but like I stood there and I said this prayer, never praying to Archangel Michael before in my life, but I fucking meant every word I said. I said, I'm scared. I need your help right now. Like, if this is real, if you're really there. And all of a sudden, it felt like bricks were lifted off of me. And the only way I can describe it was like a static, warm, calming blanket. I was fuzzy all around my body with this staticness, but it was safe.
But you felt safe and comfortable. That's the feeling of God. That's what I felt when I was saved. I'm telling you, it's like being covered in a warm blanket inside.
Like a warm fucking blanket, like your whole body, like you're in this bubble.
You're telling this story because all their stress of that time's coming out. Try not to cuss. We try to keep the cussing. I was trying not to interrupt you.
So sorry.
It's all right. You're not the first to do that.
Okay.
I get it. I want to cuss too when I talk about my experiences because they're so. I have to let you go, but I want you to call back in on this, okay? I might have an open line show next Sunday because I don't have a guest. I'd like to talk to you more about this. I would love to talk to you more about this.
Absolutely. Do you have a time?
Well, we're on every Sunday night. Next Sunday we'll be
on.
We're 10 p.m. Central when we start. We do our news segment, and the open lines. If I do open lines, they'll start at 10:30 Central.
Okay, so ending, recapping up the story. My mission is to just figure out what the heck that entity was that emerged, and if it is a regular thing that is known that, oh, that's a blah, 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 or is that something I created in my own psyche? Like, what the hell happened? That's all I'm trying to figure out.
This is why I want you to call back, and we'll talk more about this, because there's a lot here. With everything you just told me, there's a lot of things I could go into. We don't have time for tonight.
I am so sorry.
No, I love it that you called in. Do not apologize. This is great. This is what I live for this show. Is these experiences. So I want to talk to you more about it. Hopefully, if I'm on next Sunday, it'll be open lines. I don't have a guest, and I'd love to talk. You said Sunny is your name?
Sunny Brooke. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll send you my links in the chat.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Email me, paranormalsoup, jbland@gmail.com. That's in the description of the show, too. Should be the email. Email me something.
Okay, I'll email you right now.
You should email all the, write all this stuff down, too. But I'd love to talk to you more about this. Thank you so much, Sonny. I'm going to let you go. But I truly enjoyed this call. There's a lot more I want to talk to you about. All right. You have a great night.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
See, I love those calls. Sorry about the buzz in the line. I need a new phone. This is all connected to my cell phone. Sorry, Gil. You heard all that. This is what we do. We open up phone lines. We get these experiences like yours. What did you think of that?
That's fine. Me personally, I actually think she invited something in that she had no idea what she was inviting in.
Right. No, exactly. You know what I find interesting? She grew up in this house. 200-year-old house. It's got a natural spring water, granite foundation. All check marks to poltergeist activity.
Right.
My friend Barry Taff was one of the first parapsychologists. He dealt with the Entity. The Entity movie. That was his case. Or, these are all things he'd be checking off as this is electromagnetic, paranormal, psychokinetic activity. That she could have created her own TOPA or thought form entity from what she was doing. I think it's a little both. She lives in a place that's highly charged, I think, and it changes the people who grow up there.
Yeah, the first flag for me was when she mentioned the water. They love to attach themselves to the water.
Yeah. I mean, water gives off its own electromagnetic energy.
Right.
The running water,
flowing water, running water. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
especially
and that granite foundation.
Mm-hmm.
These are all common things, but the thing is, what I'm saying is as a kid, her growing up there, it affected her psychic ability. It opened her up to these things, and it opens her up to other things, not so good things. And once you start dabbling in the occult, listen to how her parents reacted to all this. They have been affected by this all these years.
Right.
How her dad reacted to the sage, and our mom's allergic, but her dad doing what he did. He grew up. It's a family home.
He was allergic for some reason, and that was why he was like, "Don't bring that in here."
Well, I wonder when she said that, but that doesn't explain his reaction later.
True.
His reaction later should have been, "Your mom's allergic." Not what he said. And I'm not going to repeat her words. The F-bombs there. What he was saying was terrifying.
That's true.
Something was wrong. And the eyes. I've heard of these things, and I swear, if you grow up in a location that's charged like that, we got the running water, granite, and history, and all that. That if you as a child grow up there, it's affecting you. It's opening you up to this whole realm.
And they also manifest themselves at the most vulnerable time. If you're vulnerable,
her sister had died.
Exactly. She was vulnerable, and she was looking for some kind of an answer, any kind of connection, and she even named it. And there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's how these things start. A billion paranormal TV shows of people's stories. You don't have to have a Ouija board. She said a card trick. I mean, I used to be able to read tarot with just a plain card of decks. I could read your tarot with that. I didn't need an actual tarot deck. And yeah, you could use it to do yes or no questions. People talk about the Ouija board. Honestly, anything you do intent-wise to communicate with the other side, a pendulum, a tarot deck, Ouija board, are all open portals. I'm not dogging people who use them because I have. But you better be damn aware of what you're doing, what your intent is, what you're asking. And if you're building a communication with something, do you think you really can trust it or know what it is?
Right.
Be very cautious.
Yeah, because there's a new thing that's going on out there too that I think is very dangerous that people are starting to dabble into, and it's called the CE5.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, I don't like Stephen Greer.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. And
not
I
a
think
fan.
What he's promoting out there, I think, is very dangerous. And people are they're just enjoying it, and then they're being tormented endlessly with whatever they're inviting in.
Right.
Wait,
I mean, do you?
Remind me.
So there's CE5 that that's been around for a while with Stephen Greer. What really pushed this off in the last year is Jacob Barber, the Jacob Barber News Nation interview. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Jacob Barber worked as a military pilot, and he claims to have retrieved craft. They show the video of him of them retrieving not from him. It's another anonymous source gave this News Nation of them picking up an egg-like shaped craft. He's the helicopter pilot. They got this video from somebody else. He's the helicopter pilot that came out about it, a private contractor for the military and others, and he had recovered in a few different instances alien craft or reverse engineered craft. One of these instances, the alien in the craft telepathically communicated with him. He's talked to Congress. He's talked to our congressman like Tim Pritchett. He's been interviewed under enclosed skiffs. He's the real deal, okay? But what he started now is a group, because what he says is that when he would be on these things, he had heard or learned that the reason that they're getting these craft is that there are people the government has who telepathically communicate with these aliens, draw them close enough for us to shoot them down. So his new group is what they're doing is they're not shooting them down, but they're trying to do this, telepathically communicate with the aliens and videotape and evidence. It's
the ones that are
Skywatchers.
trying to bring them to them.
And Stephen Greer, of course, has gotten a part of this because he's been talking about trying to do this for years.
Is this where they're trying to meditate them all into them?
Yeah. But what Jacob Barber's saying, there's people who have a special skill that the government's recruited that do this. But that opens it up now. Every willy-nilly person wants to do it. And like you said, Tim Pritchett, our congressman, that's his concern. He brought this up. He said that he's concerned about people doing this, that you could be messing with demonic forces or things like that, because he's a Christian man, and he's open to the idea that UFOs and all these things exist, but he's like, do you want to be telepathically communicating with them? I don't think so.
Yeah, we could go into a whole big thing on that. I mean, that goes all the way back to even, Roswell. When they started, they actually knew or had an idea what they were messing with. And there's actually there's FBI papers out there that actually explain that the government knew that they weren't dealing with aliens, that they were demonic entities. There's FBI papers out there.
Yeah. Well, Hoover was, I think, trying to figure out what's going on because he had inside information and dirt on people, but yet he was cut out of the whole alien thing, and he was putting FBI agents to find out why am I, he can't be kept out of anything. In that early stages after 1947, Roswell, you can see a lot of the files was the FBI trying to find out.
Right.
Because that's Hoover. Hoover can't be left out of. But people like Alan Dulles and the CIA, they're like, yeah, we don't care about you, Hoover. You're not going to find out about this. You can't be trusted.
Because a matter of fact, I think they even started. There's a big old thing about that. Linda Moulton Howe talks about them a lot as the Collins Elite.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. With these things that alien demon, tomato. At the same time, I've had people like Bill Bean on, who's a very God-fearing Christian. His faith is he's Reverend Bill Bean. I mean, he's very much a Christian man, but he will admit that he's had spiritual moments with UFOs, that he felt that there were some that weren't evil, they're a part of God, while others are probably part of the demonic. So there are spiritual instances people have with the UFOs that, like a Christian man like Bill, I mean, he's literally fighting demons. That's what he does. Where he's had a UFO he felt wasn't evil, that he felt some kind of divine presence from it. And if you go back to the Bible and stuff like that, I think that's a lot, so who knows what we're dealing with. But either way, I think it's much bigger than just some species from another planet coming here. That they've always been here, and they're in some inner layer of reality that is different than ours.
Yeah, and my take on that is, me personally, I don't think we're actually dealing with ET extraterrestrials. I actually think they're interdimensional, is what I think.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It explained when you talk about there's 72 different species. You're telling me 72 different aliens from way vast distances, all right? They'd have to be. Vast. Like, more than speed of light you're going to need to get here. All are coming here.
Right.
But I will believe that if they are all always here, because they're part of some other interdimensional thing we don't understand, that we're in layers of the multiverse or whatever. That would make sense to me, more than they're coming from other planets. Right. I think some could be,
right.
I don't know. But the demon thing is what a lot of I've seen the files where they because you got to remember the men that are doing this, they're coming from a lot of them Christian backgrounds. To them, this is demonic.
Right.
That's their way of describing it. Right. Lots more we could talk to. We are out of time. Gil, thank you so much for being on the show tonight and sharing your experiences.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it for having me on the show.
Yeah, I loved it. We got to talk about Goatman. I can tell my sons go watch the show. They finally had a guest on about Goatman. Because, it's something I wanted to talk about. I've had people mention these experiences on my show and on other topics, but to have somebody on to actually, firsthand seen this thing, seen something like this.
For me.
Yeah.
What's that?
And it was a new subject for me. I had never heard of Goatman until tonight.
Really? On this show, we've talked about it. It's come up. You're just not listening. It's come up. We've not got deep into it. We've never had somebody on that actually had the experience.
Probably answering chat rooms or something.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. It comes up in the cryptic. We never got into it, though. We've never had a guest on to have that experience. So, Gil, thank you so much for sharing that. And,
glad to share.
Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Yes, sir. Hey, maybe I could share one time, too, about the portal I drove through.
See, there's more. Yeah. See, there's more. Yeah, definitely love to have you back on to talk about that. See, so much more. It's not just one paranormal experience these people are having. When you're opening your mind and these things to these perceptions, you're going to have more. Just beware. You're going to have more if you want this thing. If you want to open yourselves up to these things, just be careful. Be careful.
Exactly. Always be careful.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right, guys. Thank you, Gil. Have a great night. Next week, I don't have a guest. I'm going to try to have a show. I should have a show. If it is, there'll probably be open lines. And like I said, Sonny, you called in earlier. I'd love to talk to you more. Email me. And anybody else, too. Paranormal Soup, jbland@gmail.com. You can email me there. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and like the show tonight. Don't forget to tell your friends. Keep sharing the show out. Thank you to everybody who does. And if you want to help the show, you can become Super Chats, become a Patreon. You can find the links there, or a YouTube channel member. They all help pay the bills for their show. I really don't make any money. It just covers the costs. So thank you to all my Patrons and YouTube channel members. You do help fund this show. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great night. Hopefully we see you next Sunday.